Hello everybody and welcome to Hearthstone Champions League. My name is Nimsh and I'm here with Raven. We're going to cast this amazing tournament for you. As you can see, we started already with Kolento versus Stancifka. Raven, how are you doing, mates?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. And just going straight into one of the, this whole tournament's full of big names, actually, some of the biggest, but this game's looking to be shaping up pretty good. Kolento using what looks like Malygos Warlock, and Stancifka taking the tried and tested Druid.
Yeah, and wow, man, Stancifka's hand with the Aspirant and the Wild Growth, it looks really good. But on the other hand, Kolento actually has ways to deal with that. He has Dark Bomb for that Aspirant, and he has Hellfire as well with the Drake.
Yeah, this matchup is really interesting because something that the Druid can, like the way the Druid wins this matchup, because I think the Druid's slightly favoured here, is that they just sort of pummel the Malygos lock and then hope that the Warlock can't really, deal with the sort of bulky minions from the Druid, and then, next minute there's Force of Nature Savage draw and the game's over. But we can see Kolento, as you said, has got a reasonable hand. He's got a Hellfire, that Dark Bomb just cleared up the Aspirant, the Twilight Guardian for the taunt, and then 2 heal bots. So he should be able to at least make this game go a little bit longer, which is exactly what Kolento's going to want to do here.
Yeah, because with this deck you just want to get to Malygos and then kill your opponent with the combo cards. But on the other hand, you do have a lot of minions that can actually deal with the board. Well, you have those board swipes, you have Blackpink Raptor. So if you're able to actually keep the minions on board, you might be able to just win the game with simple spells without Malygos even.
Yeah, I think the power of the Warlock deck here is that the mid-range minions sort of almost go toe-to-toe with the Druid mid-range minions, actually, like the Druid of the Claws and Ancient of Lords, things like that, like the big sort of bulky bodies, and the Warlock can actually match that with this Malygos deck, but Kolento's not actually drawing into any of them. He's drawing into like a lot of answers and sustain, but nothing too crazy. If the Twilight Drake is a 4/6, isn't as big as you kind of want it to be as the Warlock, but it's going to be probably just enough to challenge this board now.
And Stancifka has Thaurissan. Is this the turn for Thaurissan though? He does have a lot of great cards in hand already. So Azure Drake with Swipe will be a great combo. Reduced by 2, only for 7 mana. Maybe even playable next turn to finish off things. One part of the combo, Savage or Force of Nature being discounted, is also really important. So I think like Thaurissan might be a great card here. Not only it's reducing the cards, but it's also a 5/5 on board.
Yeah, if he didn't cast or play Thaurissan now, everything else that he could have done was just off, either a mana short or not quite clean enough in terms of killing the Twilight Guardian. So pretty good play. Normally you want the Thaurissan after cards like Drake and stuff to cycle into the say the combo or other key cards, but this is pretty reasonable. It's sort of demanded an answer out of Kolento, and now Swipe's looking pretty reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because he can. Well, do you even swipe though?
I mean, Swipe Savage Roar could be pretty okay.
With the Zombie Child, I think you might swipe because you're doing more damage there. But swipe, even with the spell damage, it's still a bit weird. I think Innervate might be really important because now he can actually swipe the 3/6, attack into it with the Shapeshift, and not attack with Lothab into the 3/6.
Yeah, that could be okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to. It's really tough choices here because Swipe's actually really high value card in terms of damage, especially like you said with that spell power. It looks like he's going to go for the Innervate play, as you said. This is really nice. It keeps Lothab on full health. The 4/4 from the Twilight. There's your Drake. Sorry, he's still on full health, so it's going to be really awkward for Kolento to clear this up actually.
Kolento does have that Hellfire, so it will be able to help with Lothab.
And he has Coil as well.
Yeah.
So he can. So the thing is here, like Kolento can clear the board, and luckily for Kolento, Stancifka's only on 3 cards, and we can see that those 3 cards aren't too heavily impact on the game at the moment. The Shade being able to come down after the Hellfire must feel pretty good for Stancifka, but he's definitely gonna want to draw into sort of more impactful minions, and Aspirant really isn't one of them actually.
Well, to be honest, Aspirant is a card that he can play here, and a Force of Nature top deck can finish the game pretty fast. There is no dragon for Kolento to aid the Twilight Guardian, so it will not have taunt. He will be able to play Corruptor, but the thing is, how much damage does Stancifka deal with a top-decked Force of Nature? It will be 17 at least, right?
Yeah. And this is the problem Kolento faces in everyone who plays against Druid faces, is that once you get down to a certain amount of health, it's really difficult to not want to play around the Druid having the combo at this point from turn 9 onwards. And when you do play around that, a lot of the time, you're actually making really inefficient plays. So like, you might want to heal bot now to try and get out of range, although I don't think heal bot is out of range now. Oh, the Drake could be pretty big.
There's a dragon.
To drop the taunt down. Yeah, that's suddenly changed a few things. But as I was saying, like, it's hard to play around the combo all the time. Because it makes you play so inefficient. You end up losing anyway a lot of the time, and Stancifka just filling the board up, prepping for that Savage Roar and whatever he made top deck.
By the way, Raven, I was checking your math. The damage right there was 19, not 17.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 17 without the buff from the shade. See, this isn't my math. This is me trusting. I'm too trusting him.
All right.
You said 17. I was like, sure, Nimsh is right. That's fine.
I'll try to be correct next time. How much damage there is at the moment? Oh man, look at this!
Yep, there you go.
Finish it. It's obviously even more because of an aspirant, but 17, 19 doesn't matter. He has lethal here, so Stancifka is taking this first game, and Druid is always good, especially versus those decks. Even though he had double Cubit in the hand, it wasn't enough to sustain.
Yeah, it's really tough because, as I said, like, it was so early on as he, like, you know, Stancifka went onto it on curve. It's hard to play 5 mana on a 3/3 to heal for 8. You know, like, it actually just isn't enough when the Druid's pressuring with board alone. It's not like the Druid had an empty board and all Kolento had to do was to, you know, like, avoid that typical 14 damage you expect. He actually had to, you know, play around even more, which is just so difficult.
All right, and Raven, can you actually talk to me about the tournament itself? Because we just started, and this is an amazing tournament, 10,000 prize pool. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so the tournament is actually just super stacked. In Group A that we're going to do today, we have Xixo, Kolento, Stancifka, and Dog. Group B, ECOP, RDU, Pavel, and Hoy. Group C is Show, Live Coach, Strife Current Orange. Group D, Oskaka, Hannibal Z, Tides of Time, and Tice. So, like, this is pretty much the most stacked tournament of the year so far. I know we're quite early in terms of the year, but it's so big. Literally, the best players in the world are in this tournament, and it's going to be double limb from group stages. The top 2 go through, and then we'll go into the playoffs after that. But we are into this second game, which is Stancifka's Hunter versus Kolento's Warlock again.
Yep.
So the Hunter, yeah, is looking like either just all face or at the most hybrid. This is highly aggressive, and the good thing in this matchup is it's not like the Handlock matchup for Hunter, where if you play into Molten Giants, which normally you can't avoid playing around, and then they slam 2 Moltens, heal and taunt, you're in trouble. Stancifka can actually just go full face and sort of almost ignore the board to a certain extent, because you know you're not going to run into that awkward Molten Giant turn. You just go full face and hope it's enough, to be honest. There's a little more to be said of it on the Hunter side, whereas Kolento has to really slow the Hunter down and just deal with all the threats, and getting Huffer is one of those pretty early threats.
So what do you think about this matchup overall? Is it good for Hunter, or is it favoring the Warlock?
I think it's close, because it really does just revolve on a few key cards, like, say, the heal bots from Kolento or the owls from Stancifka. If the Hunter can just keep tempo up and just keep going, then I think Hunter doesn't struggle in this matchup, I'd say, unless the Warlock does go like heal bot, and then taunt with no owl or something, because then you just burn out of cards, as Hunters want to do, and you know, it becomes a little too late. And if Kolento can stabilize with his Warlock, then he should be in a good position, because Kolento's not looking to actually win the game with the Malygos burst at the end. It's actually just surviving and outliving the Hunter more than anything.
Kolento goes for Twilight Garden at this moment, so there's a pretty good card to try to survive, but this time he didn't get those heal bots. Versus Hunter, I think heal bot will be amazing.
Yeah, it really does slow down the game enough for the Warlock to stabilize. But even now, Stancifka hasn't got the owl to just owl through the taunt and carry on, but he does have a lot of damage and, you know, a lot of answers. I'm not quite sure what the play is here, though, or what the favored play is. He does have a lot of options. There's he's got his 2 minions on. I guess he's running explosives potentially, so he could run both minions into the 3/6 and then maybe push with the bow. But because he's only on 4 mana, he can't like bow hero power or horse hero power or anything like that. So it's just a little bit awkward to play off curve here.
So you probably have to play off curve. If you go for the hero power, you will not be able to do much, and just playing a weapon maybe. You can put your opponent at 15. It's a bit more damage this turn, and then you follow up next turn with another attack, deal 5 easily, actually 8 even.
Yeah, and I think banking the bow is really good because quick shot, well, it's 2 mana. You can quick shot almost at any turn going forward, and then you've just seen a taunt as well. So the horse rider should be pretty safe because Malygos doesn't actually run too many taunts. So it's not like you're going to see taunt after taunt after taunt come up. So after he's dealing with the Twilight Guardian, he's pretty confident about the horse rider damage coming through. And now with the secret proc for the freezing trap, then it's another stack on the bow. So really nice to see the bow locked in there. And Hunter's Mark's pretty huge if any more taunts do come up.
Absolutely. So Stancifka has a lot of damage. If he goes for that horse rider and hero power this turn, 7 damage, putting Kolento at 8. So next turn he will have to kill. If there is no taunt there, and possible taunts as you mentioned, there was a Guardian, there's sometimes a Sludge Belcher, mostly a one-off. What other taunts are there in the deck? Is there even a Defender of Argus?
No, I don't think that even plays with Argus because the Malilot normally relies on like double heal bot and then removal in the form of the Hellfire that we see, probably Shadow Flame, and then the Corruptors, and then just the big minions to actually trade away the board, as opposed to using too many taunts. So this is going to be really rough now for Kolento. He's played Emperor just to get the value here, and he just has to leave the 2 up, and there's nothing he can do. Anything else doesn't win him the game. That's the problem. But we can see that this game's already over. Quick Shot's such a powerful card when combined with the hero power from the Hunter. And Stancifka goes 2-0 up pretty quickly, and this is a pretty good deck for him to get up against Kolento's Warlock again.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he has his last deck. Let me quickly check what his last class is. So for Stancifka, he still has a Warlock himself. So I wonder what kind of Warlock he will play.
Yeah, there's so many variations, and that's what we get into in Hearthstone at the moment, at least, where there's so many variations of nearly all the classes. So with Warlock, there's 2 types of zoo, like Demon and the zoo that's like more Gormok and maybe the Seekers and the Sea Giants, and then there's Reno Lock variants. There's variants within Reno Lock. Then there's like Hand Lock, Demon Lock combos. There's so much to look at, but this actually does look like maybe a more standard Demon Zoo than anything else.
Yeah, it absolutely looks like Demon Zoo with the Void Terror and the Power Overwhelming, and I find it really interesting, a really good start for Kolento, but I find it really interesting that this Demon Zoo is still the deck to play. I've seen when the Brown got released and Dark Peddlers, people started playing a more fast version of Zoo, but it seems like they're back to the good old demons.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. If this is the Void Caller, there's something to be said for the power of that card alone. Like, the Void Caller and into another demon is so much tempo, it's untrue. But Kolento having a good start here, double Zombie Chow, and then now with Coil against Zoo is definitely the opening you do want to see, so maybe, he's got the good enough start this game. Really interesting that Kolento's chosen to just lock in the same deck over and over again and just try and get this win. He probably, because this is group stage, doesn't want to reveal his other decks to the opponents, actually, that will no doubt be watching and doing their homework.
Yeah, that's true, because we are playing double elimination stage. If Kolento loses this match versus Stancifka, he will have to wait for his next opponent, who will be the loser of the match, Dog versus Xixo. And then if he wins that, he ends up in the losers final in this specific group, and winning that will still give him the spot to advance to the top 8.
Yeah, and a really decent trade there from the Direwolf, buffing up the 1/1s, which again, it's going to be really interesting going into Standard when decks can't use cards like Creeper, because they're so good at having tokens, and then all these cards that buff them, the Direwolf, the Abusive Sergeant, getting things like Power Overwhelming or another Abusive Sergeant from the Dark Peddler. There's a lot of options with these tokens from the Creeper, and do see Abusive come down, or at least be an option, and there we go. Do you think he's going to just trade in? and then put the 2/2 into the 1/1, I suppose.
Exactly. That's probably what you have to do, just to deny any possibility. And this is so good for Stancifka, like a really good opening. There is a Twilight Drake though. You can also Mortal Coil the Wolf. This will actually take 4 damage out of the board. So Zombie Chow will have easier time dealing with the small minions as well.
Yep, Stancifka's got nice follow-up though, and again, just so many options. The Dark Iron Dwarf can buff something to just deal with this Chow, get it off the board. He could actually just defend with Argus if he wants to. I think that's maybe a little bit too early, if I'm honest, because there's still plenty of AoE in the deck that would ruin him. What do you actually like here? Maybe even juggle it into abusive and get the egg on the board.
I think I like Dagger Dwarf because of the AoE you've mentioned. So on one hand we deal with the Zombie Chow, and on the other we actually have a minion that's resistant to the Hellfire. If you go with abusive, you deal with the 2/3, but then Hellfire just wipes your board, unless you want to play around Hellfire a bit. But I don't like Juggler into Nerubian Egg.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the egg sort of does the same job. You end with a 4/4 afterwards, as opposed to, say, a 4/1 from the Dark Iron Dwarf, but you do have to commit a lot more, and Stancifka's actually gone for the Defender of Argus, which is really interesting, because this just seems like it gets completely blown out by Hellfire.
Yeah, but it's not terrible as well. So if you go for Defender of Argus, if there is a Hellfire, you know that Hellfire is gone, like at least one, so you can just swarm your board afterwards. If there is no Hellfire, that was probably the biggest amount of life at the very moment, and you still got the trade on the minion, and you actually protected your own minion. So that was a lot of damage he was able to get on that board. Plus, keeping Dark Iron Dwarf in hand is a bit of a concealed damage, so your opponent can never expect exactly how much damage can you deal on one turn.
Yeah, and you see Stancifka there. Just see where the juggles land, depending on where what minions he actually wants to trade in. Whether he trades in the Peddler as a 3/1 or buffs the Defender of Argus. But to go with the Argus there, and this board now starting to look a little bit scary. And there's no heal in Kolento's hand, but this is how strong the egg is, I suppose, when you just put it on the board to sort of put your opponent off playing AoE, as opposed to proccing the egg yourself.
Absolutely. So Kolento decides to go with Thorison instead of Hellfire. With the Hellfire, he'll take so much damage. 7, free to face, and then from the Spider, it will be really close to dying. With Emperor, he at least has a chance to have some better quality plays next turn, and will try to get back. But there is still 8 damage on board at the moment, and Stancifka is not stopping here. He's just developing his board further, dealing with everything that's being played.
Yeah, even the 2 hit on the implosion, although obviously you'd want to hit for 4, it's not terrible, because what he does is he hits for 2, gets the juggles, trades one of the minions in, so again, his board isn't like super weak to Hellfire. He's not committed too much to the board yet. He still, as you said, had the Dark Iron Dwarf, still got an gang boss with Defender of Argus. He still has enough juice that the AoE can come down, and then he just swarms the board again and puts some more pressure on. And the Warlock's on 10 health at the moment, so
yeah. But
Kolento is feeling that pressure, definitely.
But he got the Hellfire, well, he had Hellfire and he got the Twilight Guardian, so at least he will be able to stop the attack from the Nerubian. The bad news for Kolento is that Stancifka still has that Dark Iron Dwarf, so not only he will be able to just buff the Nerubian and kill the Guardian, he will also be able to play his gang boss.
Yeah.
Kolento is not going for the Hellfire here.
Yeah, I think he knows that the problem with the Hellfire is it leaves the Nerubian on full health, right? Which means it can easily deal with the Guardian if there's any buffs down. And from Zoo, you almost always expect them to have something buff in the terms of Power Overwhelming, Abusive, Dark Iron Dwarf. So it's really hard to play around that. So he's dropped down one of the big game hunters. Sort of a weird nuance of the Malygos lock is that it does run 2 big game hunters, which versus this style of Zoo is actually a bit rough, because it seems much more low curve and not many minions at all to have that 7 attack to insta-kill.
Yeah, a really nice play there from Stancifka, just using, again, trading with the board, dealing with the minions, and drawing a card as well, instead of just dropping whatever he had in the hand at the time.
Yep, and yet again, Stancifka settled the board in such a way that Hellfire doesn't really do much. I think he's already seen at least 1 coil, and next turn even if some of the minions get rid of, he has Defender Argus for an extra +2 damage potentially. You know, it puts Kolento under so much pressure. This has been like such a rough series for Kolento in this Malygos Warlock.
What can he even do? Dark Peddler into Soulfire? Does it help him? Dark Peddler into Coil? Not really. Like, you cannot Hellfire this board. You're just dead if you do that.
Dark Peddler into Coil, into Healbot, and then hope next turn for something else. I don't know. It's very rough. These Twilight Drakes, again, like, good early on, but when the Zoo's been this fast, like, you know, having a 4-attack minion with 1,000,000 health is fine, but if you can't taunt it up, then the Zoo just happily ignores it anyway. So, pretty useless. He's gone for Dark Peddler. You can't actually see what card it is, so we'll see. Oh!
That's a taunt!
It is a taunt! Fair enough. Does this... I mean, this does stop lethal, right?
In his mind, it does stop lethal, but we know there's 7 + 2 at least, so it's lethal anyway.
Yeah.
But it looked good for a moment. Like, he did what he could to stop lethal, but with Defender of Argus, Stancifka can seal this game and seal the match as well. So 3-0 versus Kolento.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice start for Stancifka. And now he only needs to win one more game versus the winner of his Dog versus Xixo. So he's put himself in a really strong position, whereas Kolento, for a start, getting 3-0 never feels good, but also now he cannot drop a set if he wants to move through to the stage after groups.
That's absolutely right. So, Raven, let's do a quick recap. We're watching Hearthstone Champions League, $10,000 prize pool. The players that we have, the lineup is really stacked. We have, today at least, we have Kolento, Stancifka, and then Xixo versus Dog coming up next. Group A is going to be played out today fully, so we'll know who gets eliminated and who goes through to the single elimination stage. All the matches are being played in best of 5 conquest format, and then tomorrow we'll have Ekop, RDU, Pavel, Hoy playing in Group B. Thursday, Group C, Show, Life Coach, Strifecrow, Orange. And I'm really excited to see Strifecrow playing in a tournament because I haven't seen him in some time. Well, I did see him playing the Red Bull tournament this weekend, but that wasn't constructed. So I'm really curious what Strifecrow has in store. And then Group D will have Ostkaka, the world champion, Hannibal Z2, the DreamHack champion, Tides of Time, and Thais NL.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, WoW pretty much sums it up. Let's be honest. This tournament is containing some of a massive chunk of the best players in the world, and like you were saying about Striker, I'm interested to see Tides as well. You know, he has a bit of a love-hate relationship with Hearthstone sometimes, a bit on and off. But he was at the Team Brawl as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
he was there playing with, I believe, Strifecrow and Hafu.
Yeah, so see what he's going to bring to the table and how he's going to perform is going to be interesting as well. But every single group, I mean, how do you even call who do you think? I was going to ask you, so who do you think is going to make out the groups? And in all honesty, you could say anyone. And it's like, yeah, okay. You know, it's pretty reasonable. There's no one where like, no, they won't make it through. Because you could literally pick any two of each of these players out of each group. And they're just as likely to go through as any others. There's no clear favourites in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you, Raven. And I want to give a shout out to G2A, Steel Series, and Twitch, who are sponsoring this tournament and making it happen. And right now we're going to jump into a short break while we prepare the next match for you guys. So stay tuned for more Hearthstone action.
rearranging. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. That is constantly changing. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. Constantly changing, always rearranging, always rearranging, always rearranging. That is constantly changing, always rearranging, always rearranging, always rearranging.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Hearthstone Champions League. This is Nimsh, I'm here with Raven, and we've just seen Stancifka beating Kolento 3-0. Raven, did you expect that to happen?
Yeah, no, not at all, to be honest. I think like a lot of these matches, because the players are so good, you expect really close, like 3-2s almost every game. But the one positive for Kolento is he guarded the knowledge of his other two decks for the rest of the group stage. So he will actually face off against the loser of this matchup. But for now, we do have Xixo versus Dog. This is going to be just as good for the last set.
Absolutely. So this is the first match for them. This is still Group A, second match. And the decks that they brought, well, I will not spoil that, but we see at the moment that we have Warlock versus Shaman. So another Zoo, this time for Xixo. And the aggressive Shaman, the deck I really like.
You love. See, I'm the opposite. I hate this deck, but I respect its power. That's why I hate it so much. Really good start from Dog, though. I mean, this is one of the opening hands you do want to see as the Shaman player. Going on probably the key card in the deck actually in the Trog. They're so powerful, and going straight into another 1-drop, being able to follow up with Golem, pretty insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely great, so you can deal damage, but on the other hand, there is a way with Abusive to deal with that Trog early, but still, this puts Dog in a really good position, and we can see in his hand already a Doomhammer and a Rockbiter. So if he uses Rockbiter earlier, like if he uses it as a removal, fine, Doomhammer is still a great tool, but if he waits till turn 6, he can actually deal 10 right there. But for now, it will be, well, a bit of a minion battle, and we see that Dog is actually overloaded, so that Ancestral Knowledge, that's not the turn to play it.
Yeah, it seems a little bit rough. You normally want to play Ancestral Knowledge when you have the Lava Shock in hand to follow up, with Lava Shock the following turn, or the same turn to just clear off the overload. And it does look like he's going to have to use the Rock Biter, because if he decided to hold on to it for that extra damage later on, it might be too late by then. You really do, in these aggro mirrors, you really do have to battle for the board, and Implosion is a good card for doing that with.
Absolutely. That's why I said if he still has it, because in those matches versus Zoo, Dog has to deal as much damage as possible early on. And oh man, there's another Rock Biter for him! So this means he will be able to play it, well, Doomhammer next turn, go 4 to face, and then he will have 10. If he gets something like a Lava Burst, he might just win on turn 6.
Yeah, and that's the power of this deck. Even when it looks like it's getting overrun, you've got so much burst that can come out, especially if you like Doomhammers and sort of doesn't have lethal set up the following turn, then Ancestral Knowledge, the odds of you drawing into some burn are so high with this deck. It's like literally insane. But Xixo, on the other hand, has quite a big board built up.
And a Taunt. Taunt is cheating, as a lot of people say. And this Void Walker actually would deal 4 damage to Dog. Overall, how much damage is there? There's 5 to 7 plus 3, 12 damage, right?
Yeah. I'm going to agree. But yeah, there is. Oh! Ooh.
Oh man, Gormok.
This is actually insane.
It will work. It will actually work. This is no lethal yet, unless you can actually Mortal Coil one of your minions after the attack and then play Gormok, but it's still not enough.
Yeah, this is going to be really good though, because as you said earlier, the Void Walker is actually huge. As like a 2-3 taunt doesn't seem like a lot, but when Doomhammer's in hand, it's going to be pretty good. Just to you have to run something into that minion, and now Gormok being able to just destroy the Totem Golem. This is so much pressure that I don't actually think Dog can deal with unless he draws something crazy off the top for 3 mana.
I think that's basically it. Just crackle the face and concede, because you're facing a Zoo deck with Gormok. Oh man.
It's insane, and that is also showing off the power of Implosion in these aggro mirrors. Being able to almost certainly remove a minion whilst at the same time generating your own is actually pretty key. And we saw that Dog didn't run any of the AoE spells that we've seen sort of drop in and drop out of the aggro streaming deck in terms of either lightning storms or in some cases even the elemental destructions.
Yeah, that's right. And let's talk about the lineup a bit. So, well, we have another match immediately. But overall, Xixo brought the Warlock deck that we know is Zoo. He brought Rogue and Paladin. So for Paladin, it is a secret Paladin. We see the secrets already. And Dog, he brought Warlock, Mage, and Shaman. So we've seen Shaman, this is a Warlock, and he previously... He was known for playing Demon Handlock, but now it's a Zoo.
Yeah, and as we sort of briefly mentioned earlier on, like a lot of people are actually playing Zoo at the moment. It's so powerful in terms of like the tempo it can generate, and then it's kind of funny actually. A lot of players made decks based around Gormok, Sea Giant, and the Seeker. But then I think everyone started to realize that actually you can generate a pretty big board and then just use Gormok. You don't have to go all in on like the tokens with say oozes and things. And we're showing off how good that is now with Dog. I mean, he has a creeper that when it dies it's going to pop 2 1/1s. The Imp Gang Boss is going to summon tokens. It really does get out of hand pretty quickly.
Do you think we are going to see some Sea Giants?
It is tough. I don't think the deck actually needs them. Maybe it's like a one-off as a surprise factor, but in general, I think the deck's like fast enough to not really require them. On the other hand, though, Xixo, it's got a reasonable start. That True Silver, and being able to take out the Gang Bosses, that is one of the minions that's very scary for the Secret Paladin to generate those 1/1s. And you know, Shredder, and then maybe a little bit later on the Challenger kicking in. It's always nice to have that ready for turn 6.
Yeah, Xixo is in a really good position here with nice follow-up on 4, 5, and 6. And Doug pick up the Brown Bronzebeard, so he's opting not to play it this turn because it will just die to the weapon. So he wants to throw a bit more weapon fodder so that Xixo can actually kill something like a Direwolf this turn, and then he can follow up with... well, maybe with Bran into Abusive, which means Abusive will buff a minion +4.
Yeah, this is nice, because as you said, sacrificing Bran onto the True Silver just feels terrible. Ooh. Whereas having the Direwolf, that is enough of a priority target to use the weapon, even though on paper it seems like a bit of overkill, a 4-attack weapon killing a 2/2, but it represents so much more damage that it's worth. You might even go Bran into the Peddler now, because getting 2 Discovers off Peddler is actually really powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. The Dark Peddler is really great, especially if you're fighting for the board position. Millhouse Mana Storm!
Okay, he does have the way to deal with this, but that would have been horrendous if he did it and just slammed Bran, and it's like, oh, that 4/4 out of the Shredder that just destroys my legendary. Fine.
Well, to be honest, Raven, there were a couple of cards that will deal with Bran as well, like even a 4/3 Succubus, right? Or a 4/1 Pirate, but yeah, Millhouse was definitely the best of them.
This is kind of nice from Xixo, and this is where, like, having secrets in hand sometimes isn't terrible for the Secret Paladin, because now Dog has to sit and go, okay, this secret could be Noble Sacrifice, Avenge, Redemption, or Comp Spirit, in which, or even Repentance if people are playing it, in which you have to play around those in very different ways a lot of the time. So you have to normally just commit and hope it's not the one that like ruins you. And he did play the Coil there, and he found out that it almost certainly, oh yeah, it certainly is Comp Spirit because he's played a minion, so it won't be Repentance. So gets away with it a little bit there, but now he'll know that the Competitive Spirit will buff these 1/1s in a way that can clear Bran up pretty easily.
Which is, well, it's great for Xixo. For Dog, he is in a very good position, especially after the Mysteries Challenger and Dr. Boom on 7. So for Xixo, it seems like the easiest game of his life. And Dog struggles with answers because this 2/2 is just going to die to Noble Sacrifice. There is still one more, right? We've only seen one.
Yeah, we've seen one.
So a very tough situation. Dog will probably just have to go for Peddler into a card, into maybe Dark Iron Dwarf to have the biggest minion on board, and not attack at all.
Yeah, it's really tough. Oh, yeah, Corruption's definitely something here. He can play that onto what will be guaranteed the Avenged Mysterious Challenger. Does get 1 attack off, but it greatly reduces the the long term, because it means that Dog doesn't have to commit too much into killing it. The only issue is he can Corruption that, you know, all he wants, but when the follow-up's Dr. Boom, then you're still quite afraid.
Yeah, it's really interesting because my initial thought of not attacking was without the Corruption, right? But with Corruption now, you kind of want to attack to deal with Avenge as well on the same turn. So that was an interesting change of pace. Oh man, there's Tyrion for
Oh
turn
my.
8.
So for all you Secret Paladin lovers, which I know there are many, no sarcasm whatsoever, this is the perfect run of what you want from Secret Paladin. You want to go into Challenger on a fairly steady board, into Boom, into Tyrion, because your opponent 9 times out of 10 cannot answer one after the other 3 turns in a row. Xixo is saying he's sorry, but he isn't. He isn't sorry. He's laughing to himself.
Well, Xixo is Dog is laughing at this because how can you even win versus this kind of setup? And Xixo's taking game number 2, having an amazing lead, 2-0. And just to remind you guys, Hearthstone Champions League, $10,000 prize pool. The first place takes $5,000, and we are playing Group A today. 2 players will advance to top 8.
These games are going so quick, Nimsh. So quick.
Oh, I like
Xixo
it.
locks in his Rogue versus the Shaman. So you've got to say, like, well, you'll tell me, but the Shaman's favoured here, right? Any hyper aggro.
Yeah, it's kind of
decks,
like old face Hunter versus Rogue, where
exactly.
where Shaman is just dealing damage from the very beginning, and then a Rogue has to deal with the minions and kill the Shaman before he gets burst down. But well, it's tough.
Yeah, and it's even. I'd say it's even harder than Face Hunter used to be, because when you get to the point in the game, say like turn 4-5 onwards, you know every single draw from the Shaman is like it could be a lava burst, a crackle, like so much damage, and the Rogue doesn't normally have the mana to be able to deal with it, because as we said in some of the previous set, where heal bot for 5 is actually, you know, really good, 5 mana heal 8, but not if your opponent then just follows up with even more burst, and that 5 mana was your whole turn. You can see how defensive Xixo's been now with the sap onto the Golem, just to slow him down as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a very interesting matchup because, well, not that interesting to watch in a way that I feel like Shaman has a great advantage, but if Rogue is able to pull it off, then it's really interesting. But overall, Rogue has no taunts, mostly, unless they play one such Belcher. They have no heals unless they play a Farseer and maybe attack heal bot. Depends on the list, but they sometimes they don't play those cards. And then Rogue wants to win the board early and get the tempo advantage, but how can you get tempo advantage versus those minions? Like a 3-4 for 2 mana, a duel with a Divine Shield. So it's really hard.
Yeah, it's a really weird matchup to watch from the Rogue's point as well, because as we saw then, Xixo just played Oil for 4 mana on turn 4, and it was the right play. You know, it seems so strange to watch, and Dog locking in the Doomhammer there, so much pressure. He's even going to tank the Azure Drake just to get it off the board. You don't really want to leave Rogue, especially with spell power, in terms of like the AoE potential and maybe another Oil. Xixo is playing a Belcher though, like you said, so we'll see if that's going to be enough to actually hold on.
There is the Earth Shock for that Belcher, so yeah, Xixo getting lower, but he is bringing the Teacher, and Dog, on the other hand, playing as a Shaman. It's also interesting if he plays any AoE cards. Some Shamans do not play any, and I've seen lists with Elemental Distraction. Sometimes there is one Lightning Storm, but mostly on ladder. On ladder, people experiment with Lightning Storm. In the tournament mode, people don't run it, I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those like personal preference picks, isn't it? Look at this, and this is why this deck's so scary, and versus Rogue, so lethal. Just gone hit 4 for Doomhammer, 2 Crackles, Lava Shock, why not reset your Overload? So much damage, and especially as you said earlier, Earth Shock's in hand. So the only thing that will slow Dog down really is a heal, and we can see Xixo doesn't have that.
Well, Xixo is basically dead this game, so Dog was able to take it with his aggressive Shaman. There's how much mana after the overloads? 6, and the Lava Burst to finish things off. Okay,
Crazy.
I just burned your face. It's a 2-1.
Yeah, so Dog taking the favoured matchup there just to get the point on the board. He does have to win with all his decks against Rogue, so might still be a bit of an uphill climb, but Xixo pretty much got steamrolled there as expected, because that matchup definitely isn't favoured for the Rogue.
But Raven, we talked about it a bit before the tournament started. So you've mentioned that Rogue was popular at Assembly, and we casted it in Insomnia as well. What do you think is the stand of Rogue in the current metagame?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it's better in terms of tournament play than it is on, like, say, ladder, for example. But when it's really just about calling what decks your opponent's taking, like, if you're expecting like Paladin and maybe some Priest, then Rogue really performs, so it's a good pick. But it's definitely one of the decks that you take if you're good at it. It's not something a lot of people normally just pick up and go, oh, you know, Rogue's good, I'll just play it. It does require quite a lot of experience to pilot the deck properly, I'd say.
Oh my god. He got a 4-2 Argent Commander with the portal. And Dog is actually playing the Tempo Mage. This is a Tempo Mage, right? Like, he just didn't get the early cards.
Yeah, this is Tempo Mage. You can pretty much tell by the portal alone almost tells. I mean, it could be mech, but we've seen 0 mechs. And the mirror image is actually pretty common, just to slow down the more aggressive decks and cause things to be a little bit awkward. But this is really nice. I'm really liking Tempo Mage at the moment because it destroys Druid so hard normally. But this is so awkward for Xixo. What is the... he can't... does he have to, like, evis and backstab the commander?
Do you really have to deal with the commander, though? Maybe you can just go for a Violet Teacher turn somehow. Well, actually, if you go...
Oh, he could Violet Teacher... Oh, well, now there's Entity, but he could still backstab Prep evis, maybe?
You can probably keep the 4-2 on board. I think it's more important to kill the Violet Teacher now.
Yeah. Kind of tough leaving it up with Divine Shield, though. It never feels great, does it, when you know that 4 attack's going to be traded for free?
Yeah, but then dealing 2 damage normally is not a problem for Rogue. We see that it might be a problem for Xixo at the moment. He doesn't have anything in his hand. But it forces a ping as well, so that's something, you know. Like on turn 5, Mage will want to attack into the Violet Teacher, and then ping, so we'll only have 3 mana open to play a card. Well, Arcane Intellect is that card.
Yeah, it's kind of tough though, because I mean, Dog's really wanting to see the Flame Wakers and some of the cheaper spells, because you know, when there's a board full of 1/1s and you don't have Flame Wakers, Tempo Mage, it definitely feels bad. But you're right, Arcane Intellect fills out the curve pretty nice. He almost certainly is going to take that Teacher off the board and goes into Water Elemental Fireball, so double as your Drake, Water Elemental. Quite sort of a more mid-ranges version. I know some people have been playing some more like aggressive tempo variants.
So it only shows that his hand was bad. Like the Argent Commander saved him a bit because it's actually pressuring Xixo in a way. But you want to have a Mana Worm, you want to have Apprentice, Flame Waker, and he just got the big curve. But because Xixo's hand was a bit iffy as well, that might serve Dog well.
Yeah, he's doing okay, and this Water Elemental, getting the Water Elemental down, especially against a weapon class like Rogue, it is huge. Getting it down safely is key, so that's why we saw the Frostbolt on the Tomb Pillager there, because he couldn't just leave it up, because then you know, his Water Elemental dies without freezing the Rogue, and he's definitely going to want to just freeze the Rogue and pretty much lock the hero power out of the game. And
that's probably what he's going to do, right? You can... Arcane Intellect, well, okay, so he has Missiles and Apprentice. It's going so fast though, but I was thinking about fireballing the 4-4 and pinging the 5-1, then going for face to lock the hero power, as you said. But Dog has a different plan here. What do you think about Tomb Pillager though, overall? Like, it's a really cool card, and does it mean that Xixo will be playing 1 Gadgetzan?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a lot of people experimented with it quite early on when it first came out. It seems like it's just about worth the spot. I know Life Coach has been playing a slight variant on Rogue, which feels a bit slower and just sort of slow and steady instead of any big combos. But Tomb Pillager is really nice just because the coin is so valuable. And the Gadgetzan, I don't think it means there will be a Gadgetzan. I think it just means like there's an option of the Gadgetzan there. I think Tomb Pillager is good enough on its own. Alright, and Dog being a bit unlucky with the missiles. He really wanted to snipe that Tomb Pillager, but with so many targets, it didn't work. Also, killing Azure Drake was one of the options for him. It didn't work though. Yeah, definitely a little bit unlucky there. The coin will be pretty nice just to get the deadly poison. And going to go into... How big is this Van Cleef? Yep, that's a Van Cleef. A 10-10. Not bad. Not bad. And he even kills up to 3-2 with the oil as well. So that's looking pretty good. Dog has no option but to just Drake into something. And Mirror Image is definitely worth when he can ping the Drake as well. Dog plays so fast. So fast, it's ridiculous. He got Conjurer though, so maybe with Conjurer he will actually pick up something to deal with this this Edwin. Something like a Polymorph? Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that could vaporize and kill the other 2 minions? There's always potential for crazy stuff when
Wait, it's a 3 mana spell, right? No, discover spell. So polymorph.
Yeah,
is
it's any
absolutely
spell. Yeah. Flame Lance. That's the name of that 5-mana card, right? That deals 8 damage to a target. You know, there's definitely options, and I've had my Ragnaros Flame Lanced by a Conjurer's spell before, so that was pretty rough.
He has a fireball to deal with that Edwin right now, but still.
Yeah.
Maybe something small to work with Antonidas. Something like Froze Nova.
Yeah, that'd be really nice for, because a lot of the rogue damage is obviously minion based, returns those oils. Effigy's nice though.
Yeah.
You can actually Antonidas Effigy next turn, so you get the fireball, you get the 5/7 body, and then you get another 7-drop afterwards. But speaking of 7-drops, that's one of the best ones, if not the best one in the game at the moment.
For now, till rotation. But,
Yeah, at this second in time.
But this is still a really good situation for Dog, unless he gets a bad target. Oh, he got even a fireball. So, not that it really matters. Or does it?
It almost forces Xixo to well, Xixo must be in a position now where it's like he either, well, can he kill him? 7, 8, 9.
Thank you.
Depending on where the bombs go, he could kill him, but he doesn't know what that secret is. That's the scary part. So, okay, he's going to clear up and eviscerate the Antonidas. He could run a bomb in first, but the issue is if it's counterspell or ice block, then he almost certainly, well, he dies, right?
Yeah, if that's an ice block, he's just dead.
Ooh,
That's a really
face
good bomb. So, can he go for it now? That's 11, 12, 13, plus 5, 18 damage. Yeah, that's lethal right here, but he doesn't go for it.
There we go, and it's the Effigy Xixo. The slight smile and nod. Oh, it's another one!
He got another Antonidas! What? Raven, what just happened? Now he still has to kill it.
So, do we not understand what Effigy does? Resummon the minion? Have we misread Effigy all this time?
Well,
oh my god, that's insane.
If you're a dog, it probably does it. And now Dog has 2 fireballs, so he has 13 points of damage, and Xixo is forced to... He had lethal in hand. He knows that. That was so close for him.
Oh my god. And this is the problem with the cards like Conjure create so much confusion when like a secret's played. It could be any of them. If it was Ice Block, he would have been dead. If it was Counterspell, he couldn't have killed him. You know, there's so many options, and it ended up being Effigy. And generating another Antonidas, like, that's actually just madness.
But Dog is not out of the woods yet. He has to clear those minions, and there's double sprint, so he's in a good position, but it's not over. So,
yeah, we've seen a mirror entity, right, already, because he summoned the teacher.
Yeah.
So we'll see what if Dog's running any other secrets, because some Tempo Mages actually run like 1 entity, 1 counterspell, or 2 entities, or, you know, there is a few variations knocking about. So this scientist is actually going to do some work if Xixo can't finish the game up quickly.
So Xixo doesn't know that there is a fireball in Dog's hand, because he did draw into it, and he did cast Antonidas fireball. So he's going to kill the mana worm, and then 15 damage is a lot. It's actually a second fireball would win the game, but oh man, he got the
if he runs 1 of each, that's heartbreaking, because now the scientist is a 2/2 with no additional effect. The counterspell is really good though, but Xixo's going to be able to burn it with that coin he got from the pillager.
Yep, that's true. So right now, Dog can just ping face and hope he gets the second fireball.
This is going to be a little bit rough for Dog, so I'm pretty confident Xixo's going to test the secret, especially you saw that it came from his deck. So it probably isn't, you know, it's not like the Conjurer secret where it could just be anything. It's going to be Counterspell or entity a lot of the time. And there's the Sharp Sword Oil, and that looks like it's going to clear it up.
Yep, this means that Xixo takes the game and takes the match as well, winning 3-1 versus Dog. That second Antonidas was hilarious, but not hilarious enough to take the game. And Dog is thinking, like, what just happened?
Yeah, that was definitely crazy. I mean, it looked like Dog was in such a good position for so long, but I think Xixo being able to keep the card advantage, because when Tempo Mage starts having to top deck, it becomes very difficult, because you are top decking certain cards like, you know, a 2/2 in Scientist, or, you know, a Mana Worm. Some low impact cards are there, especially after you've seen Antonidas himself and one of the Conjurers, for example.
Absolutely. So now this means that Xixo will play versus Stancifka in the winner's bracket of this group, and one of them is going to advance to the top 8 finals. where the other will have to play versus the winner of Kolento versus Dog. Kolento versus Dog, I believe, might be next, and the loser of that will be eliminated from the tournament. But for now, Raven, we're going to jump into a short break, and after that we'll back with more Hearthstone action.
See your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. Nothing between us is empty space, empty space. Even when the music is loud, I'd rather be no other place. Here with you now, here with you now.
Welcome everybody to Hearthstone Champions League. My name is Nimsh and I'm here with Raven. And oh man, we've seen two very fast matches with Kolento, Stancifka, Xixo, and this is the winners match. So Stancifka won versus Kolento 3-0 and Xixo defeated Dog 3-1. They now face each other and whoever wins this is going to advance to the top 8. How are you doing, Raven?
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be really good. I'm excited for this. So Stancifka's picked his Hunter first, which we know is quite an aggressive Hunter deck, and Xixo's got his Secret Paladin. So I actually think the Hunter lines up fairly well versus this deck. It's not terrible. I think potential Knife Juggler Unleash ends this game pretty quickly. But even so, like the secrets don't do too much for the Hunter, because other than Noble Sacrifice, pretty happy about just smoking and ending the game pretty soon, I think.
You're pretty excited to see Hunter, right? You're a Hunter specialist or a Hunter fanboy, aren't you?
Yeah, well, one of those two. Yeah, I like Hunter, and I'm really looking forward to Standard, actually, to see what if there are any changes to the base Hunter cards, and you know, any new cards to do with the new expansion. Because Hunter's been left in the cold a little bit recently, and I'm not a fan of that. So.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But, you know, we had a couple of years with Hunter, so I'm fine with not having him, at least for now. In Standard, it might actually return. But what do you think about this specific deck that Stancifka brought? He's running those aggressive cards like Leper Gnome and Argent Horse Rider, but he also has a Freezing Trap.
Yeah, this sort of leans towards the more hybrid variant of like the new age aggro hunter, because it used to be the fact that you know, face hunters just ran double explosive because it's more damage, but actually pretty quickly found out that freezing traps can just lock out those more control-y decks even harder, because they're normally just dropping, you know, 1 or 2 big minions as opposed to swarming the board themselves. So freezing trap gets enough tempo to get more damage out of, say, your minions, and being able to use your hero power more, which means the explosive trap, or lack of, should I say, is actually negated by the freezing trap. So it's a pretty good play, and especially on a board like this, I wouldn't even mind freezing trap now, because it just slows the paladin down so much.
Yeah, that's a really good explanation, and Stancifka was taking his time fully, so it's not like you have to play super fast in tournaments. You can take your time, think about stuff, and he's also drinking and eating, so this is something that he always does, right?
Yeah, this is no surprise whatsoever, and I think that this is good, because this shows that the way he approaches tournaments, whether he is at home in his room or at a big live event, he puts himself in the same environment every time. He sits comfortable, just eats and drinks how he would at home, and having a consistent mindset is actually probably really helpful when it comes to sort of high pressure tournaments.
Yeah, I agree, and he is one of those guys who is, he's really good with the stress and the pressure, where on the other hand, Xixo is known for actually breaking up when something bad happens, but he's also growing himself as a player.
Yeah, I think the key one is like he's emotional. I think when he's doing well, it helps him, because, you know, he's like really pumped up for it, and then when things go wrong, you know, he flicks the other way. Whereas Stancifka, I've seen him playing tournaments where crazy things have happened and his facial expression doesn't even move. He's like Hoy to a certain extent, another similar player where he's just very chilled out and just takes it as it comes and doesn't really get too flustered either way, or at least doesn't show it.
He's still teamless though, at the moment.
Yeah, I don't even think he's even bothered. Like, not that I've spoke to him about it specifically, but I think he practices with a lot of his Magic the Gathering friends.
Yeah.
That it's not like he needs Hearthstone teammates to practice, and as proven, he's pretty good. So, you know, I think he's doing okay. Looking at this hand though, like, Xixo's sort of got the board dominance here, and this game's gone really slow. You know, a lot slower than expected at least. But we can see that, you know, just taking away the hero powers, the Leper Gnome, really starting to just push the paladin a little bit low.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he needs to deal with... does he really need to deal with Knife Juggler? Because the quick shot feels like it fits. But on the other hand, if there is a redemption, one of the secrets, that's a tough turn. Yeah,
I think it feels bad, but I think Creeper hero power's fine. Look at the amount of burn in your hand. And Secret Paladin, other than, say, a True Silver, isn't really known for its healing, right? So if you just weave in the hero powers that you can, and then there's double kill command and a quick shot, and potentially Huffer, but, you know, less impactful because of cards like Noble Sacrifice. I think just pushing the damage is really nice. You're still on 28, so you're fine.
So we are literally seeing the Face Hunter, or like Hybrid Hunter, one of the fastest decks, taking it slow.
I think it's just optimizing damage, and whilst trying to, you know, negate a bit of your opponent's pressure. But this, you know, the Juggle was pretty nice there for Xixo. He misses the second one, but the Creeper's just as good to clear it up, so that's fine. Stancifka, he has a lot of burn, but maybe not the tools to get to the point where he can actually finish him off now, as there starts to be quite a lot of pressure from Xixo.
This Horse Rider is an interesting card to play and to check for the secrets, but checking for secrets can be deadly. If there is a Noble Sacrifice, Redemption into Avenge, that will be a lot of extra power on board that you're just enabling, and you will lose the Horse Rider as well because of the Noble Sacrifice. So it's a tough pick for Stancifka, even though he has a lot of burst in hand, as you mentioned. Xixo is still at 20, and Xixo will start pressuring from the next turn.
Yeah, and one of the issues is that because there's 3 secrets down, and Avenge, Noble Sacrifice, 2 of the, like, 2-ofs in the deck normally, statistically you have to go with the fact that 2 of those secrets are Avenge and Noble Sac, which means that, you know, as you said, you know, pointed out quite rightly, that this is going to be a problem if he just tries to run something in and hope, because he would then have to use, say, the quick shot to kill an avenge target, which then removes more of that burn, and I think the burn is the only way he's going to get through this game now. He got the Misha, so it's going to delay his opponent, the Paladin, which is really good for him. But he just needs a little bit more. An Unleash would be really good, I think, now, just to push through some damage and proc the secrets whilst still being able to pressure just enough.
And also enable the kill commands to deal for 5 damage instead of 3. So Unleash the Hounds might be the card he needs specifically in this very moment to win the game. Shredder is not terrible. You can slam the Shredder and Hero Power, but then there's 11 damage, 12 damage on board for Xixo.
Yeah. And then you start thinking about, he knows there's a token in hand and the hero power. So that's up to 14 with the juggles potentially. And Repentance, pretty rough on the Shredder. He pretty much just needs something like, just at any taunt, a Doomslayer, just to slow the Paladin down a little bit more. Because if you have a look, Sixo's on 16, and Stancifka's got a lot of burst potential over the course of like 2 to 3 turns. And there's a heal.
Vitality.
Or I guess a taunt. It's a heal for 3, I guess. So that's not terrible, but he's just, Stancifka's so close to being able to burst this out, but he needs to survive, say, 2 turns, and I don't think he can with his current hand.
Yeah, it seems like Stancifka will not be able to win this game. And just to remind you, the viewers, we are watching Hearthstone Champions League. This is the first day, we just started. This is the third game of the day. We had Kolento, Xixo, Stancifka, Doc playing out. This is the winner's match, so the winner of this game will actually, well, the whole match will advance to the top 8, where there's single elimination. There's $10,000 prize pool, best of 5 conquests. That's the format, and we'll be back tomorrow as well with Group B, and then on Thursday and Friday Group C and D consecutively. And we have a sick lineup. Do you remember, Raven, who is in our lineup?
Yeah, so Group A, as we've said, we've got Xixo, Kolento, Sifka, and Dog, which will end today. Group B, we have Ecop, RDU, Pavel, and Hoy. Group C is Show, Life Coach, Strifeco, and Orange. And Group D is Oskaka, Hannibal Z2, and Tides of Time and Ty. So all stacked groups all around.
Yep, and if you follow a specific player, show up on that day to watch the matches and see if your player can actually advance from the group. We are playing a double elimination, which is the GSL system, so 2 players will advance and 2 players will get eliminated every day.
Yeah, very nice of Sifka to actually wait for us to finish that plug there to do his turn. So he's just taking his whole turn out. It's like, oh, the guys are talking. Just what, 1 second.
Such a nice guy.
So he's going with like the only option he really has, but he'll swiftly realize this isn't enough, and that's going to be game. And I think like all I can think is how different this game would be with an Unleash the Hounds draw. Like, it would be so different. Like, it's probably just flipped on its head in terms of Sifka's favour. So, got a little bit unlucky with that draw, but Xixo played well, just creating the consistent threat that if Sifka wanted to deal with, he'd have to use his burn, which then in turn makes the Paladin safer to continue on to the late game.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think when you think about matchup Hunter versus Paladin, Unleash the Hounds is always this card that will change the matchup in favor of Hunter, because Paladin will naturally overextend his board with 4, 5, 6 minions, and Unleash the Hounds not only punishes that, but exploits that weakness.
Yeah, one of the big moves is actually the turn 5 Juggler Unleash, because that can just end games. Like, you're so favored and, like, you know, consistently clear up the board with that kind of turn. It swings it so hard. It's normally just makes the Hunter win there and there. But we are on to game 2. Xixo's moved on to his Rogue, and Sifka's switched over to his Zoolock.
Yeah, and this Zoo seems to be the more aggressive one of Argent Squire, so this will not be the Demon version.
Yeah, this looks like, again, sort of similar to the Zoos we've seen before. But again, you see Sifka do slight altercations on, say, the standard like net decks we see all the time, where Argent Squire isn't a super common pick in most Zoo decks, and but Sifka has the reputation for just taking what he likes in terms of the sort of pocket picks within the decks.
What do you think about Coin Peddler instead of just slamming the Squire into 1?
I think the Squire makes the hero power from Xixo a little bit too easy, because it's not too common where Rogue has a like super strong turn 2 play. A lot of the time it is just Dagger, But dagger take the shield off, and then they've got the dagger next turn to kill the squire is pretty reasonable. Whereas now, what Sifka's saying is, one, I have a mystery 1-drop you don't know about now, which could be, you know, one of multitude of cards. But now also you need something more than just your hero power to kill this 2/2. And if you don't have it, then you're taking double the amount of damage it would take to clear up the squire.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually. And now he can follow up with another 2-drop. So dealing 4 damage with the Dark Peddler was a really smart move there. But now he has a plethora of 2-drops. So Nerubian Egg, not pressuring much, but he will have an enabler, Dark Peddler, another good 2-drop that has to be dealt with, and he will get a card. And you always want to get those extra cards early to be able to make smart choices.
Yeah, and Power Overwhelming is definitely one of the top picks that you can get from Peddler. I think Sifka's really setting up for just a strong build-up. I think next turn he can probably afford to play Egg and Squire, just because as we can see, Xixo's having a really slow rogue start. None of those terrifying ones where it's backstab SI7 agent and suddenly you're just dead. So quite a slow start from Xixo. But it means Sifka can take it a little bit slower himself and doesn't have to rush too much.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you recommend Nerubian Egg and Argent Squire this turn?
Yeah, I think Egg and Squire represents multiple sort of potential threats to Xixo. Defender of Argus next turn could be horrendous on an Egg and a Divine Shielded minion, but then he has the option for the Direwolf. He could just straight up Implosion. He has 2 Egg procs in the form of the Power Overwhelming and the Abusive Sergeant. So I think because the Egg and the Squire represent the most sort of troubling potential on Xixo's side, it is the best play to go. But, you know, Sifka's, I'm happy to say, is a better player than I am, so he might do something different.
Well, that's why we are here to explain the plays anyway. So I like the Nerubian and Argent Squire. I think your explanations was on point. And on the other hand, from Xixo's side, just playing Violet Teacher here doesn't make much sense because you want to get that coin from Tomb Pillager and it would probably just die. Like when you see Nerubian Egg, you expect it's gonna be buffed.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like the old Fiery War Axe on 2 from a warrior, isn't it? You just expect that your opponent just has it somehow. And they normally do. And double Implosion,
It's
interesting.
It's really tempting, but with... well, I guess you don't have to break the egg at the moment. With Implosion, you will get some board and hopefully easily kill the 5/4. If you get 4, you force your opponent to have an AoE card, something like Flurry or Fun of Knives. And if they cast it, Xixo will lose the weapon, you're not losing everything, and you force the mana to be spent as well.
Yeah, and I think it's tough because you never feel good about the imps getting all mown down by AoE the turn after they're played. But what you've also got to think, that's like actual fairly low value board for the rogue to spend on like Blade Flurry, for example. It's not too bad. He is looking to just proc the egg instead. And this is fine. He doesn't overcommit to the board here, and the chances of this whole board getting cleaned up are pretty slim.
Yeah. It's not removable by AoE, there will have to be an AoE and Eviscerate, for example.
Yeah, which is like, you know, a reasonable sum of resources. And when he's got the follow-up of 2 Implosions, the Direwolf to get extra value from those tokens, and the Juggler, as we saw in the previous 2 games today, is you always want to represent a threatening board enough to warrant some sort of awkward AoE clear, and then you fill up again. You know, you just fill the board again and go for it.
It's not that awkward for Xixo though, because he has Violet Teacher into Coin, into Eviscerate, into 4/4, and just kill the 2/1 with a weapon. So you have Violet Teacher and what, two dudes, and there is only a 2/2 and 1/1 on board left. You still have Sprint Preparation in your hand, and you have Lothep as a follow-up. So is he going for the preparation though?
Does he want to? I don't know what he's doing.
Well, he's using Blade Flurry to clear the board, so he'll attack into the 2/1 and still Eviscerate to kill the 4/4 or a 4/3 rather.
Yeah, well, he can't attack with the weapon now though, so he would have left a very similar board up anyway, right?
He can. Oh yeah, he can weapon up.
Yeah, because his weapon was on 1 durability, so.
You're right. You're right. So instead, so he actually sacrificed preparation to generate 1 more minion.
Yeah, it's kind of a Yeah, kind of weird actually. Probably overdid it. I don't know if that was a slight error on Xixo's part. We'll see. But what we did see that turn was again the power of Tomb Pillager actually, where the coin it generates enables the rogue to just squeeze in that bit more, potential card usage or pressure.
Yeah. Still, even though Xixo ends up with a Sludge Belcher on empty board, which cannot be bad, and he will have a Lothar follow up with a weapon, and this implosion might be huge if it kills the Belcher.
3 chances. Oh,
It still has a chance.
the last one. Oh, that is actually pretty big.
Yeah.
And look at the follow-up. There's Direwolf Alpha to buff the tokens consecutively if they want to kill themselves on something. There's Argus, 2 Creepers, which is good, nice sticky minions there. And Xixo's pretty much going to be reliant on this sprint doing some work, I think.
Yeah, and he's actually dropping pretty low because he has to attack into the juggler, so going down to 12. Lothar is a nice minion, but if you don't have any clears in your hand, then it will be tough to clear the board for on the Zoo side.
Yeah, I think the issue for Lothar at the moment for Xixo is it's a good, strong minion, but it's one minion when you're facing a lot of small minions, so you can only attack once, right? And there's no way to taunt it up. So I think Sifka's got a good few options here. He probably can afford to leave the Lothar up because he is sitting on 27 and the rogue's only on 3 cards. He has the option to kill it, but I don't know if it'll be worth it with the rogue being on such low health. I think you might just want to go for it at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going for face, and then Haunted Creeper. You'll be able to use Haunted Creeper with Knife Juggler next turn to generate some extra damage. You're in a great position. Sap does not do much. You will be able to sap one of the imps.
Pay attention, class.
And that's kill the other. That's basically it.
And pick off a 1/1 with the weapon and re-dagger, I guess. That's the best he's got. But we can see that now there's, 2, 3 damage? 4, 5, 6.
He's missing 1, I guess, right?
No, I think he can get it if he hits the juggles, right?
Yeah,
Because he has the 1 imp now.
He's missing damage. If he hits the juggle, he wins. Unless he picks up something like Power of Overwhelming. Or the Flare of Argus. Yep, that should be enough, right? That's plus 2, which means this is 5, and then Wolf on either side, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so Stancifka ties the game 1-1 versus Xixo.
Yeah, pretty rough game for Xixo there. Stancifka just kept the pressure on and just didn't let up whatsoever. And Xixo never got like a nice or clean board clear. He always had to do like awkward things, and that's what you want to do versus Rogue. Just make them like use too many of their resources to clear the board and then just keep the pressure up. But I definitely think having the 2 jugglers, the creeper, and the 2 implosions were really key in that match, just to keep the board full regardless of any AoE.
So Xixo still has this rogue left, and he has his own zoo ready because he locked his paladin winning versus hunter. And then Stancifka locked warlock, so he still has his face, or rather hybrid hunter, and a druid deck. He picks druid this time into that rogue. And who do you think is favored in this match? Because there's a lot of discussion about this and a lot of disagreement.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think it's slightly favored for the druid, but you know, if the thing is like, it's really hard to say a druid's like super unfavored in any deck that isn't, say, like Tempo Mage. But I think it's slightly favored for the druid. But if the rogue gets like the eviscerates, I guess, on the bigger minions and can just clear up easily with some prep shenanigans, then the rogue can just burst the druid down. And with saps, Druid of the Claws don't seem so much of a threat when you can just pull them off the board and, you know, continue to go for a big oil flowy turn, for example.
Yeah, I agree. I think like one of the big cards or big things here is the combo. So at some point, Druid can just combo you out. But on the other hand, Rogue also has the oil flurry combo, which is possible. Whoever gets the tempo early, I think, gets an advantage. And Stancifka already getting that Wild Growth into a pretty nice curve, I have to say. If he picks up something like an Innervate to be able to play Dr. Boom on turn 4, that will be quite big.
Yeah, this is nice. So I like the Thanos here because it forces on turn 4. Like you either leave a spell pad minion up, which means, for example, the Shredder is weak to backstab, or you have to kill it, and suddenly that's like 2 of your mana. Or he plays Keeper the Grove to kill it, which again, that's a bit of a commitment for a 1/1. It does draw a card and have spell power, but it doesn't feel too great when you could have played Shredder on this turn normally.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, is there any reason to aspirant hero power here, or do you think you just go Shredder and just hope he doesn't have it?
What about just Keeper Silence?
Illume, guide my land.
There's a chance for like weird stuff like coin oil though. Oh no, he doesn't have weapon up. Yeah, silence could have been okay, I guess.
Yeah, you deny the card drop, but this is fine as well, absolutely.
Yeah, this is the quickest deadly poison you'll probably ever see. Dance Aspirant is definitely one of the key targets in the game you want to just kill off straight away.
Yeah,
especially after a wild growth.
You do want to deal with it, but looking at Xixo's hand, it's really nice at the moment. He has that Violet Teacher with Backstab and Coin, and Lotheb, so he can generate a really nice board. But Stancifka just got Druid of a Claw.
Yeah, Druid of the Claw is really weird in this matchup though. So it's definitely the play, but then you just feel. I mean, it's good on turn 5 because of, like, if it gets sacked where you've got all the time in the world, right, to replay it, so it's fine. But like later on, it feels really weird whether you charge it or taunt it, because if you charge it, it's weak to Eviscerate. If you taunt it, it just gets removed from sap for a turn, so it can be really rough. But what you say about Xixo's hand is true. Like, he has a lot of options, which is key. That Tomb Pillager, if you just had to play that, then that feels kind of bad because it just dies to like swipe or something. But having the options to be able to just squeeze it in as and when it feels is really nice.
There was an interesting alternative with coining Azure Drake and then using Backstab and Weapon Attack instead. So just throwing away Violet Teacher was a bit questionable. But now he can deal with the 4-3 with the Weapon Attack as well. So that Violet Teacher did tank the damage.
Yeah, now Flurry going to clear up the first half of the Shredder as well, and it's going to be an Elic drop down to a 3-2. Straight away dies to Backstab, and that Van Cleef is going to get shut down pretty hard.
Yeah, that's why Silence is really good in this matchup. Well, I said that because I've seen Edwin. Like, normally there are not that many targets you can use Silence on, but Edwin is certainly the target you want to use it on.
Yeah. The interesting thing is here, though, if he silences it, the rest of his turn isn't great, considering in his hand he's holding Dr. Boom and Ancient of Law, 2 extremely strong 7 drops. But the problem is the Law insta dies and doesn't even kill off the Van Cleef. But the Dr. Boom's definitely worth a thought, at least, I think. At worst, well, I'll say at worst it gets sapped. You get to replay it with more boom bots, but you know, he might force Xixo into running Van Cleef into it, which then, you know, you've lost no damage and gained boom bots and one more point of removal maybe. I don't know. I think I like Dr. Boom at this point.
If you get Dr. Boom, your opponent has 5 cards in hand. If you can deal with Dr. Boom in a way that, like, even if there is a sap, I think you're in a bad spot overall. So I prefer the Keeper, but I think I agree with you that Dr. Boom was definitely something you could consider.
Yeah, it's really hard to make a play like Keeper here when it just feels so slow when you have Dr. Boom glowing green in your hand. It's normally always the play, right?
Yeah, when it's green you just play it. But I think Keeper just had too much value.
Yeah, and this is a really nice turn for Xixo, where now he's got like the wiggle room to just drop in Tomb Pillager. Because I think that's one of the problems you run into with the card sometimes. It's a 5-4 and that's it until it dies. So you sort of play it expecting it to get dealt with. But this, now he cleared the board, got the SI 7 Agent and the Tomb Pillager down on a pretty good turn actually.
By the way, the fact that he was able to play SI7 with the coin means that the turn when he threw the Violet Teacher with instead of playing Azure Drake coin paid off at this specific turn, at least.
Yeah, and he's going to renew the coin as well when the Pillager dies.
Yeah, exactly.
This match is really tense, actually. It feels like every single turn, if not quite done correctly, can just swing it either way, because both opponents are fairly close on health. Maybe not after this attack to face, but they're fairly close on health, and both have actually a good selection of cards that are quite impactful. Lotheb's going to come down now and lock out any combo shenanigans.
And the bomb will be very important as well. 1 damage to Xixo, he has to be happy about it. That could have been a kill on a Pillager, so now the spells are blocked.
Or even to a lesser extent, if it killed off the SI, it still would have been pretty decent for Sivka. There's some options now, isn't there? Really
so what can you do here? You can kill the 5/5 with Dr. Boom, that's for sure. And you need to deal with the other minions. Denying
Oh, I like this. This is nice. Gives the highest chance to clear the board while still being able to do stuff.
4 damage to
Oh, hit
face
face
matters.
for 4. Yeah.
And this looks pretty good for Stancifka. Tomb Pillager is kind of like a blank. Like you can obviously play it, but it's not something you want to swing the board. You need to get a Blade Flurry.
Oh, there's prep. He could coin prep fan, I guess. Coin prep fan, coin prep sprint.
Sprints, yeah.
Coin prep fan would obviously be pretty reasonable here if he had fan of knives. But this is kind of rough now, and this is what I mean by each turn. Because Stancifka could like almost clean up really well there whilst putting a lot of pressure on the board. He's now just gained the advantage, whereas Xixo's just, you know, dropped some minions and now waited. So what if like combo comes down now? Game's just over.
Well, it's just Sabzor actually. Sabzor would be enough, I believe. There is 9 plus 13, 14 damage on board with the hero power, and then you get plus 8. So that's 22. He can go for Azure Drake or Wrath to try to get that Sabzor. He will still need to hero power, so he needs 5 mana to win. If that's Sabzor, that's it. That's force.
Oh, it's the other piece. But now Wrath for 4 actually just straight up kills the Tomb Pillager.
Yep.
Which is pretty nice. And again, like the more he just clears, the harder it gets for Xixo because there's so much damage on the board.
Yeah,
and again, the second, like even Force of Nature for 6 is pretty big.
Yeah, it is. But the fun fact is that Dr. Boom might be on only 2 health, but it's still 7 attack minion, and it's going to deal that 7 damage to face. Unless Stan decides to trade. No, he goes for face with Dr. Boom, so wants to put Xixo in lethal range for the next turn.
Yeah, and I like this play because the Druid of the Claw's on 1 health, so quite weak. But if you look at the board overall, we didn't see Xixo AoE the turn before. So that was Sifka's view. He didn't see an AoE, so then you sort of presume, well, if he doesn't have it one turn that's pretty decent to play it, he probably doesn't have it the following turn. So putting all his minions on relatively low health is fine, because it puts as much pressure as possible on the board.
Oh man, he is missing that preparation. If he would have a preparation, that would be a clear, but without it, not really. So
what's interesting is backstab. Clearly, Stancifka is playing around backstab here, and making backstab fan do nothing.
The old backstab actually worked on any target, so you could have backstabbed Dr. Boom, but this is like from 3 years ago. Throwback.
I'm glad that got nerfed. I mean, Fan of Knives still does some work, but how do you kill Boom? Do you have to sap it? If you sap it, it buys him a turn, but oh, he's sapping the Drake and face tanking Boom. Okay.
So he cleared the board somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
And he's not dead yet. Oh, now he is.
He is. So Druid does Druid things, and again, Xixo did the play there that would actually extend the game long enough. You know, next turn he could have played Belcher as your Drake, you know, whatever, he has the backstab. But the issue is, the longer the game goes on, the more chance the Druid has of drawing a combo that you just cannot answer. So Stancifka takes that game with a pretty close game, actually. It felt like almost every turn was really tight.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like Druid even can double combo sometimes. At one moment in the game, he didn't even need a combo, just the Savage Roar to deal 8 damage for 3 mana. That's why sometimes Savage Roar feels a bit unfair when you have it in those situations, because you just need a couple of minions on board and you can easily win. But to counter that point, Rogue needs just 1 minion, and then he can oil, and through oil and flurry be able to deal an insane amount of damage himself. So Xixo kills Rogue again. He lost 2 games with it, and if he loses now, he's going to lose the match, but he will not be eliminated yet. This is the winners match in Group A. Whoever wins this advances to the top 8 finals, but whoever loses will face the winner of Dog versus Kolento.
Yeah, and this is normally a rough matchup for the Rogue. I think Face Hunter versus Rogue was one of the old archetype matchups that was quite heavily favoured towards the Face Hunter because it was just too quick. Although looking at Sifka's hand, although it's nice to go 2, 3, 4, he didn't have the 1 drop, which is actually normally pretty key because Rogue on 1, other than backstab or like if he was on 2, like coining out the hero power was always rough. So Sifka had to go use his own coin there and go straight into a 2 drop, and then has to sort of rely on the bow now.
Isn't the bow one of the best cards versus Rogue? Because you can always deal damage to those minions, and it's 6 damage overall. Nothing really to stop the weapon, nothing to remove it.
Yeah, it is, and the fact that like Rogue killing that SI is so big in this matchup because the SI is the early minion from Rogue. that can actually normally trade fairly well versus, you know, with like Leponome, for example. It kills the Leponome or the Mad Scientist, and he's still alive to potentially prot that freezing trap afterwards, and then bounce back and then use again later when the Rogue's got some more mana spare. So it is definitely really good. 2 bows though, maybe not fantastic.
By the way, Raven, it's the second time where Xixo just slams the Taurus, the Blood Mage, Thalmos, and Stanislav is thinking what to do. Why is this Blood Mage so difficult?
Interesting that he's gone with Shredder. He could have like 50-50'd it with the Juggler and Leponome, but Shredder puts the most awkward minion on the board, definitely.
Yeah, and because he killed Thalmos now, he knows the backstab will not clear it.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of will, but
what were you saying, Nymph? But yeah, the second SI's there, but you know, Sifka's got the bow, so that's okay. I imagine. Oof, a mini-bot's reasonable, I've heard. That's a good 2-drop. I imagine bow and hero power's okay here. Stancifka's going to want to actually just start piling on some damage onto Xixo himself. So
what about Knife Juggler as well? Because I mean, not as well, but Eagle, Hornbow, and Knife Juggler. You've just seen a backstab and an SI7. You actually seen double SI7 and then 1 backstab.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking because you can Juggler, Leponome, Horse Rider next turn. Like, it's just a guaranteed 6 mana use, and you get the 2 Juggles out of it definitely. Whereas if you drop the Juggler and if it gets eviscerated, it's sort of a win for the Hunter. Yeah, it's an eviscerate, but you do lose the potential for extra damage. So I think Bow's pretty good. That mini-bot's going to be a pain in the ass as well.
Alright, makes a lot of sense. So Sludge Belcher for Xixo, that will just die to this. He goes for Archdrake. Backstab. Well, not using backstab and prep into Fan of Knives to deal with Shielded.
Whoa!
Is that is
Do my
tiger,
eyes
yeah.
deceive me? Is
No,
that a
it's a good
Stranglethorn Tiger?
It's a 5/5 stealth. It's a really decent, I heard. Hard to remove.
It's like another kill command.
It does empower kill command as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And this is what I love about watching Stancifka. He's definitely one of my favourite players. Because this, up until now, looked like, yep, standard hybrid, fine. And the next minute, Stranglethorn Tiger. Like, good job, Sifka. I appreciate this kind of deck building.
I think I've seen Stranglethorn Tiger from him before, but I really appreciate the card as well. And here I think attacking with the weapon first and then slamming Leponome will be absolutely fine. You want to keep your minions with the Divine Shield versus Rogue, and you don't want to miss that damage accidentally hitting the Archdrake and then having still to attack into it.
Yeah, because being blown out by 1 AoE is definitely rough, but being blown out by 2 is extremely hard for the Rogue to do when there's only really Fan of Knives and Blade Flurry in the whole deck that can deal with this. So keeping a Divine Shield is really good there. And look at his follow-up, like, how does the Rogue actually deal with Stranglethorn Tiger?
Yeah, I mean, Sludge Belcher is one way, and not fully dealing with it, but something to block it at least. But other than that, it's really hard because you can't deal 5 damage to a stealth carded from empty board, and you cannot target it, you cannot sap it.
And Xixo they're committing to double AoE, like we said. So although yes, Sifka's board got cleaned up, he made that's a pretty terrible turn for Xixo, having to spend that much of his whole turn into just clearing the board and giving the Hunter the initiative. And when Xixo sees his Tiger come down, Spacious Presence just doesn't change, which is fine, I guess. But I would be a little bit surprised. And he's probably happy that he does have the Belcher there. But imagine an Owl at this point. Like, it would be horrendous.
Yeah, Owl, or even if you get something... Oh, exactly, Argent Horse Rider. This means that Tiger can connect to face. And he can still hero power. So you can kill command the Belcher, then play the Horse Rider, kill the 1/2, go 5 to face, and hero power. So basically 7.
Yeah, maybe you actually... Oh, okay, I was going to say, you could either kill command the Belcher and do it that way, or you can actually just drop the Shredder as well and just not hero power. Which, although you lose, like, you know, the 2 attack, you gain, obviously, the Shredder on the board, and you've just seen all the AoE.
This is a really tough situation for Xixo.
He saps it to be played in stealth again. I mean, I'm not saying this is the wrong play, but it just looks horrendous, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like,
that's painful.
I'm going to sap this Tiger that I cannot deal with the turn after next.
But he's going to start racing Stan with this big Edwin, so a 6/6, maybe. With double sprint, maybe he'll get there. But Stranglethorn Tiger And the hero power might be just enough.
Oh.
It's probably still Tiger plus hero power, right? 7 mana.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, it's kind of rough because there's only one sap being used, right?
Yeah, but what else can you do? Like, do you mean Shredder as well?
Well, yeah. I was thinking like if you Tiger Shredder, because the problem is you've seen a flurry. I'm just trying to think of what if Xixo plays like Healbot next turn? Like, I don't know whether he runs it, but that's your worry then if you only play one minion, because then the rogue will race you with Healbot into that Tomb Pillager or something like that.
Yeah, but then you can attack into Edwin with the Tiger. But I agree with you, yeah, absolutely. Shredder is an option as well. If there is a Healbot, that would be a bit better.
Yeah, I just think like there's options, isn't there? You either push for more damage and just presume he doesn't have it, or you drop the Shredder and be a little bit safer versus heal and give the rogue another headache to deal with. And he is going for the damage, okay.
And even with the quick shot, makes sense because of possible off the top deck. So you want to put your opponent as low as possible. And the Fun of Knives does not cut it. Can Xixo draw into something to deal with the Tiger if he gets another Belcher or the Healbot that you mentioned?
It means you can only fan to top deck and it's Teacher, so
And that's
there
it.
we go.
So Stancifka takes the series 3-1 versus Xixo, and a poor Valera lost 3 times.
Yeah, that was very rough to see the rogue get beat on that hard. But when let's be honest, that style of hunter probably isn't a deck you expect to face in current sort of tournament meta, I suppose. So maybe there's a slight gap in the lineup where the hunter's doing some work, and we saw that in the previous set with Stancifka's hunter actually just. I think he demolished Kolento's Malygos Warlock, right?
Yeah, well, Stancifka demolished the Kolento fully with
that's true.
3-0 win. But guys, I want to mention that we will actually reset the stream in a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back. So don't go anywhere, just give us some time to reset the stream and come back online. But for now, we're going into a break. We'll be back though, so don't go anywhere. The next match, I believe, is Kolento versus Dog, and that's an elimination match, so you don't want to miss that one. See you later. Alright guys, apparently I lied. I will not reset the stream, don't worry. We'll still keep the delay as it is. So stay tuned for the next match. We'll be up really soon.
shadows that loom in the darkness. It's a sighting that is rare to come across. Nobody seems to have noticed that the power that could be bestowed is lost. Riding through the twilight, this armory protects my heart.
time that you don't. You leave me waiting all alone. Breaking words you said in fear. Promises that felt like tears. And when I'm waiting all alone, I need you to take me home. Promises like broken bones. I've been holding on to you. And when I'm waiting all alone, I need you to take me home. Promises like broken bones. I've been holding on to you. Fighting battles we can't win. Can't you see the mess we're in? Choking up on every sin. Your promises don't mean a thing. And when I'm waiting all alone, I need you to take me home. Promises like broken bones. I've been holding on to you. And when I'm waiting all alone, I need you to take me home. Promises like broken bones. I've been
falling on the ground. Long day, but we won't back down. One thing playing on our minds. Long wait, but we won't give up now. You crave the love I gave, and we'll do it again. A cold night getting warmer now. The ground shakes as our love gets loud. We are the champions of the night. We are the champions of the night. Yeah. We are the fighting type, the ones that burn so bright. We are the champions of the night. Champions of the night. Can't tell if we're dreaming now. We watch as the fire falls down. One thing playing on our minds. Time stops and we don't make a sound. You crave the love I gave, and we'll do it again. A cold night getting warmer now. The ground shakes as our love gets loud. I'm ready to love. We're the champions of the night. I'm ready to champions of the night. Look to the sky, out to the stars. Believe what you find, no matter where you are.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Hearthstone Champions League. My name is Nimsh and I'm here with Raven. We're going to witness Dog versus Kolento. This is an elimination match. They both lost already, and whoever wins advances to fight Xixo, and then they will have to win. Raven, what do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be a good match. The one thing to bear in mind is Kolento only showed one of his decks in his first match that he lost to. He only showed his Malygos Warlock. So the other two decks are a slight mystery. We can see now that one of them is Druid, and Druid's never too much for a mystery in general, so that's pretty okay for Dog. But Kolento will definitely know Dog's lineup by now. And
Yeah.
Dog getting off to a pretty quick start as well.
Oh man, I'm just looking at this Wild Growth, and is he just going for, oh man, Innervate and Hero Power? So he really recognizes the power of the Shaman in the early game, because I was thinking Shredder on 4 and Dr. Boom on 5 would be pretty good, but apparently Kolento feels like those two minions can challenge Shredder, they can deal enough damage, so he is feeling better with just playing the Shredder and taking it, well, a bit more aggressively, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely rough, because the problem is, looking at Kolento's hands, like, yeah, Force of Nature can be, not Force of Nature, sorry, Savage Roar can be used to, kill a 2 health minion if need be, but it is 3 mana. He does have the Shredder, but everything else just feels bad. He really needs to hold on till turn 6 and use Force of Nature to clear some of the smaller minions off the board.
Dog goes for Ancestral Knowledge. Even though he had a possibility to play Elemental Golem, he opted for the fact that he needs more cards, and I think this matchup is actually good versus Druid. If you have this kind of start as well, like a really fast start when you can deal damage early, put the Druid lower, and then just try to accumulate your spells, Lava Burst, Lava Shocks, Crackles, and burst Druid down, because Druid will stabilize at some point in this game. But then
Yeah, and what Dog did there was he actually, in not playing the Totem Golem because he had the option to draw more cards, he actually still presented Kolento with a good swipe. And then if the swipe was done, used, then he would have, then followed up with a Totem Golem. So now he's made a presumption that Kolento doesn't have it, and he needs to follow up with something anyway. So the Golem does go down, but we can see the swipe in hand now from Kolento.
yeah, an Elemental Distraction for Dog, so he is playing it actually, and he will be able to wipe the board if more minions show up, but for now Kolento is just trying to kill whatever he can and pressure back. This is a race. This is a race, Raven.
Yeah, Dog is actually probably starting to get a little bit worried depending on what his draw is, and not being able to play Doomhammer this turn is pretty rough, because the problem now is we're only a couple of turns away from Kolento being able to combo him, and he's going to be very easily ranged by then. So Dog's really going to have to think about, do I need to take the Shredder off the board? And without Earthshock, that's a little bit rough actually.
How much damage is there? So you can Lava Shock face, put Kolento at 13, and then next turn you can deal 7 with a Doomhammer and Lightning Bolt. And then follow up with Lava Burst. So, or you can play Totem Golem this turn. Like, I think you have to play Lava Shock, right? You play Ancestral Knowledge, so you need to get those mana crystals.
Yeah, I think you're right, he has to, because the problem is, by that time, because Kolento is actually ahead of him in mana, he's going to hit the combo turn before Dog hits his turn now. So he definitely needs to put enough pressure on to make Kolento sort of try and play a bit more awkwardly, because at the moment, although Kolento's on low health, where's the Lightning Bolt going to go?
Oh man,
it's just going to go fade. Okay, so this is putting Kolento in a very worrying mode here, although Dr. Boom is the only real play if he ever wants to win this game. How much damage is there this turn now?
From Dog? Not enough, because he used the Lightning Bolt.
Oh.
But
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if he didn't use it right, because then he wouldn't have had the damage, but Dog literally being 1 mana crystal off winning this game, and it actually looks like it's going to go to Kolento, because Kolento's representing a hell of a lot of damage, and he has Savage Roar in hand.
Is there a way to get out of this with Elemental Distraction somehow? Getting the bombs to face? Not really. Like, Savage Roar, Dr. Boom will still survive.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, because it's not like he had the Rot Biter and the Lightning Bolt the other way around, so he could have, say, Elemental Destruction and then Lightning Bolt the Dr. Boom, so this is going to be pretty rough, being so close but so far at this point.
And that's basically it, and with the Savage Roar, Kolento is taking game number 1 versus Dog. That Shaman was so close, as you mentioned, but so far away at the same time.
Yeah, I think Kolento being able to just about hold on that board where there was the Abusive Sergeant and 2 Lepinomes, he didn't go into swipe, and then having the following turn to kill off the Golem and the 2-1 was really good, because it meant that he emptied the board, and suddenly Dog was having to use the the card draw then to just try and refill the hand and gain more pressure. And unfortunately for Dog, it just wasn't quite enough. Very close though.
I wonder if there was a play with Lava Shock later on turn 6, basically, to get the mana crystals out, but it's really hard to say. But we're now jumping into game 2. It's Paladin from Kolento and the same Shaman from Dog. So this is, again, a good matchup for Dog, I believe.
Yeah, it is, except the Coghammer can actually ruin Dog's day quite heavily. So Kolento does actually throw it, which because of his hand was bound to, but if Kolento say had like a 1-drop, 2-drop, then the Coghammer is insane on 3, just to provide a really awkward target for Dog to deal with without an Earth Shock. But Dog's hand's looking a little bit better than last game, I think.
And he's playing Flame Juggler as well. I really like the card in this kind of Shaman deck. If it hits face, you're 1 damage closer to lethal.
And if it kills the 1-1, even better.
Exactly.
And it snipes the 1-1. Good job, Flame Juggler. You did well there.
Kolento has a terrible hand. He was mulliganing specifically for 1-drop and 2-drop because you need minions to fight the early aggression from Shaman. But he didn't get it. Now he has a very awkward situation with a lot of 4-drops.
Yeah, because the good thing about Feral Spirit is Consecrate doesn't really do too much, so he's going to be forced to make a different play. The Keeper of Alderman's really nice, he can kill off 1, whilst the 3-1's still living, which is pretty key. So now he has 2 3-attack minions that can deal with the board. It's just going to depend on what Dog chooses to do now.
Well, Dog has a good way to deal with the 3-1.
Yeah, I think he can afford, because the thing as well is for the Keeper of Alderman to kill the Feral Spirit taunt that's left, well, that just slows Kolento down even more, right? And Dog still has a lot of damage and a lot of options, and getting Doomhammer on 5, really nice.
It is excellent.
Actually kill off one of the minions to make it even more awkward for Kolento to keep this board as clean as possible.
Aside from the Brock Batter Doomhammer combo, Dog doesn't have many more spells, but he will have this Earthshock for a possible taunt if one shows up. And he has Ancestral Knowledge, so he will be able to get spells eventually. And Kolento is just trying to defend, but with that opening hand, there was not much he could have done.
Yeah, there's a few options for Dog here now. He can go for the Earthshock and then on the Shredder just to get it off the board really cleanly. And it's going to go for the Knowledge to draw and, a little bit more damage. The Lightning Bolt and the Abusive. The Doomhammer having that in hand now, the second one, pretty unfortunate because it's not too common for Secret Paladins to run weapon removal. Oh, it's just going for the damage. Yeah, why not? I have Lightning Bolt and I have a Lepanome.
There is a huge difference between this game and the Druid game, because with Druid has the buffs, Druid has the way to reach and kill you as you're a Shaman, but Paladin doesn't. Paladin just has to fight for the board, and then when he wins the board, he needs a couple of turns to kill you. But in this situation, Kolento doesn't have a way to kill, and doesn't have a way to survive.
Yeah, he can, on board at least, survive one more turn with the True Silver to hit face to heal out of the Doomhammer, but we can see that with the Lightning Bolt. He could even get flashy, hit with Doomhammer, and then play Lepanome and Lightning Bolt his own Lightning Bolt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he feels like it, but yeah, it's a pretty quick game. Dog doing pretty well there, and you really see what happens to Secret Paladin against an aggressive deck when they don't draw, say, the mini bot or the early juggler or pretty much anything just to contest the first few turns. Because we saw Kolento hero power pass on turn 3. Imagine if that was muster.
Yeah, that would be absolutely different. But now we have a tie 1-1, and the players will have to grab other decks. So from Kolento, we've seen the Druid, which is already locked. Paladin will have to stay. And there is the Male lock as well that he can pick that we've seen in the first game versus Stancifka. From Dog, we've seen a Zoo deck. So is this a Male lock versus Zoo, apparently?
Yeah, it looks to be, and already Kolento's opening hand looks pretty reasonable. I imagine the Azure Drake's going to go back in the deck, but Zombie Chow into Peddler, and now a Dart Bomb. That's the anti-aggro opening you want.
Yeah, and him Gangbos as well, so it doesn't look like a Zoo, but this is the best you can get with the small minions in this kind of a Malagas deck. Dog, on the other hand, well, he is actually playing Zombie Chow in his own Zoo.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think that's just to sort of combat other aggro decks to give you a slight advantage? Because Zombie Chow, its stat line lines up like, well against other aggro decks, which is why the card's so good. But it's an odd pick in a Zoo deck, to be honest.
It is, but you know, Zudek, as opposed to, for example, the face Shaman, right? It doesn't go face that often. It's mostly about minion trading and board position. You want to be ahead on board and just keep being ahead on board, and eventually just kill your opponent. So I think I like the Zombie Chow.
Yeah, this is nice. Do you think there's any need to coin the Void Caller out to make the Chow quite ineffective on its next turn for Kolento?
So
Because he could Spider coin Void Caller, for example, have the Spider there and do some things next turn, but he also has coin for Dark Iron Dwarf next turn if he wants to go straight into the 4th drop.
yeah, that's exactly one thing, and the other thing is that if he does use the coin this turn, he will not have a free drop, so he will be floating some mana, and I don't think there is a need for the Void Walker at this point. Okay,
Yes.
so Kolento picked up another anti-aggro card, which is Hellfire, and it might help him a lot. So for now, it seems that he has a great hand. He just needs one dragon for the Corruptor to work as well. But Doug doesn't have a bad hand himself.
Yeah, I think if you can get this this Nerubian Egg live as well, which looks like he is going to drop down with the 2 tokens. The Imp Gang Boss is so good versus decks like this, so Kolento's going to be able to just generate 1/1s to then fight for the board, so that mini implosions every turn, and he does actually have the Dart Bomb to kill off the Void Caller, the Void Walker, sorry, and then the Imp Gang Boss can just pick off one of these 1/1s if he likes, because he probably wants to use the Gang Boss to start trading, because if Power Overwhelming on the Egg into the Imp Gang Boss happens, then you've only gained 1 token as opposed to multiple.
Yeah, he also picked up the Silence, decides not to use it this turn because there's a lot of good Silence targets in his Zoo deck. So if he feels like he still has a way to deal with the Nerubian Egg, maybe Silence it next turn if there's no Power Overwhelming.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the Egg as well is you really want to silence it and then try and kill it off, because at the end of the day, it's still a token that can be Power Overwhelmed. And if it's a token, then it's worth nothing to the Warlock at that point anyway. So the point of like it dying from the Power Overwhelming is a bit insignificant because it was doing nothing regardless.
Oh man, is he going for Soulfire? Will he
Oh, here we go.
Son? That's
Okay,
a
that's-
Corruptor.
It's not too bad to throw away, as he doesn't even have a dragon at the moment, and he does have Thorison for next turn, so his turn 6 is banked anyway, and then he can, you know, move up with the Gang Boss and probably the Squire, maybe Hellfire the following turn.
And there's Corruptor actually coming back. But what I like about those decks like Malygos and how Kolento plays it at the moment, he changes the game plan a bit. So normally Soulfire is the combo card you want to cast with Malygos. He risks discarding Thorison, but it's not like he's going to win with Malygos combo. Well, see, he still can, but you're just using cards which you normally use in a different way to just counter the strategy from Zoo. You know you have to be as aggressive as possible early on. You have to be able to grab the board position, and then maybe with the other cards come back and deal the important damage.
Yeah, and having the Thorison down effectively is a 5/5 taunt in most matches, and that caused Doug to commit quite a lot to this board, and he still hasn't cleared it. And he actually threw away Bran, which was rough, and their Direwolf, which is really good in Zoo because you play with so many, like, you know, a sort of flurry of low minions, and then the Direwolf can get so much value, and he ended up keeping the Owl and the coin, where he's probably wanted to throw at least the coin away.
Yeah, and now he is with that coin, which is basically useless because Zoo can play most of the minions without the coin. So if Kolento goes for the Hellfire this turn, that will leave Dog with only an Iron Beak and coin, and Dog will have to start tapping aggressively to be able to get something.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Like, the problem with Zoo, you normally even float in mana because you can't afford, as you said, to just throw away minions. But Kolento following up with a full board clear, 0 mana Squire and a Imp Gang Boss, Dog's going to be feeling pretty rough. Straight into tap. So Void Walker and Abusive Sergeant. Not exactly the impactful cards he needs.
Yeah, small minions, and you keep the coin and try to bluff that it's actually a card you can play. And hope maybe Kolento will actually forget I never played the coin.
Yeah, there's always that possibility. It's gonna probably for players of this caliber. You know, Colento's probably gonna keep track of that coin pretty well. Okay, so the Discover choices aren't too amazing. Although I imagine the Jouster is gonna happen purely because the curve is higher in Malygos than anything than the Zoolock.
I believe he's still tap. So if you get a dragon, you'll be in an amazing position. If you don't get a dragon, the problem with tapping is that you'll not be able to play abusive, but I think it's still worth it.
Oh, and that heal bot probably seals the deal. I'd be very impressed if Dog can pull this one out of the bag with a heal bot follow-up.
Look at that joust, Raven. It was the second Doomguard. It was probably the only card that would, well, win the joust. There was also implosions possible to not lose it, but there was a great chance to win the joust. But he lost the joust, won the game.
Yeah, so pretty decent game there for Kolento, and that's going to be 3-1, right? Kolento takes the game.
That's 2-1.
Oh, was that 2-1?
Yeah, he still has to win with his Paladin deck that lost miserably to Shaman.
I'm so used to seeing Secret Paladin just win. I just presumed it had won, but yeah, my bad, it is 2-1.
But still, Secret Paladin is the last deck for Kolento, and he has 2 chances to win with it. He will be facing that Zoo deck, and the last deck for Dog, let me quickly check what that was. That was a Mage, so a Tempo Mage from Dog to face that Secret Paladin. I think it has a really decent chance to take it.
Yeah, Dog's definitely got 2 decks that can actually do pretty well versus the Secret Paladin, I think. Again, the Zoo deck probably really wants to get Implosion early on, just to build the board up, and really challenge all the sort of low minions from the Secret Paladin, but Dog's hand's looking okay. Maybe 2 Power Overwhelmings is a little bit heavy, but going straight into the Flaming's pretty nice, actually. Means he doesn't have to coin into Dark Peddler, which he'll probably feel forced to do.
Yeah, and that Shield and Me bot is great for Kolento because his hand was a bit weird. He had Master for Battle, but 2 secrets. The secrets, like Repentance versus Zoo in the very beginning of the game, will not work. And Tyrion is light years from being played.
Yeah, the game could actually be decided before turn 8 regardless in this deck, so you're completely right. And imagine the Repentance on the egg. Let's just make it even easier to proc. But with 2 Power Overwhelmings, that was probably never an issue anyway. The second Flame Imp's pretty nice, but as you said, this mini-bot is just... It's such a pain for Zoo to deal with. As we can see, the 2 health minions are going to just be slaughtered, and also Dog doesn't know what this secret is. Well, he knows it's not Repentance, that's about it.
Well, now he knows it's Noble Sacrifice, so he lost the Imp. It's pretty good
There's
for
a
Kolento
shake
there.
of the head from Dog as well.
Yeah.
Not happy.
He hoped it's something else. And now he's losing the Imps. This means Kolento has a chance to build up a board, and there's nothing to punish Master for Battle, I believe.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's whether you expect something a little bit bigger to be able to squeeze the Repentance in. Because the problem with Muster for Battle, it creates the tokens, but the weapon doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
On that turn specifically, obviously the weapon's pretty good in the matchup overall. Whereas this, he can create tokens anyway, and it makes a bit of an awkward board for Dog to deal with. So the Creeper Secret was nice.
So Dog goes for face because there is no good target, and Kolento will be the one trading a Knife Juggler. Well, with the egg on 1 HP.
Okay, I was weighing up, do you actually just Hero Power and then Juggler Muster next turn? Just for all the juggles, but pretty good for Kolento that he didn't play Juggler this turn, because Implosion is looking really nice to at least even up the board, I think it's going to be rough. Power Overwhelming to face just feels terrible, but Power Overwhelming into a 1-1 feels just as bad.
What about Implosion to a 1-1? That might be...
He might have to though, right? Either that or tap, but with tap you run the risk of passing because he can't just play Juggler for it to die for no reason.
Yeah, the thing is, like, even if you tap and play Juggler to lose it, you're not taking much damage, but then you're losing initiative because Kolento, you expect Kolento to play something on 5.
Yeah, it's really tough. Do you just assert dominance and double PO and go face? Just be like, this is how the game's gonna go. You will die eventually.
Yeah, well, a 4/4 would be a nice minion to get, but yeah, I think you have to Implosion one of the dudes, and that's what he does.
Now, how high does he roll? 3. Okay, higher than that. Pretty reasonable. It challenges the board a little bit at least.
And Keeper of Ulduman is a nice pickup by Kolento. It's literally a 5/6.
None may steal our
Yeah, it's such a good card, and the reason it's so good as well is there's situations like this where you just put more power on the board and make your tokens even more powerful, but also it's the flexibility. So like if a Doom Guard came down and he drew his other one, then you can just reduce a Doom Guard, a 5/7 to 3/3, which makes it so much more manageable.
Yeah, I just love the card. It's really flexible and can be used in any situation. But it's going to die to the power overwhelming. We're going to see Knife Juggler first. Can he still tap this turn? If you tap...
I think he probably wants to juggle a Voidwalker, then PO the egg.
Yeah.
I think that's probably because he gains 2 juggles there, which might be a little bit dangerous because the Creeper, but Voidwalker does a good job of at least soaking up some attacks. Just go for the tap instead, though.
Yeah, so he feels like he needs more cards to win this over time. This one is a nice turn anyway. Like he's getting that juggle and a 4/4, but with only the cards he had in hand, like a second PO is really reactive, and you feel like you're going to lose the minions anyway. Voidwalker wasn't doing that much. Like the difference between having Voidwalker on board and not having that extra card was actually too big for Dog, so he wanted to have a card.
Yeah, that's completely right. And we are going to see the muster, I imagine. The power of Knife Juggler when you have Creeper to pop and a muster to play.
Yeah, I feel like he might actually keep the Haunted Creeper here. But what will be the sequence? So what you can do maybe is attack into the 4/4 with the 3/2 and then slam muster and see if something survives. If something survives, you just kill it with a weapon. But there is a lot of different decisions here to be made. So as you mentioned, it can be a Haunted Creeper attack first, then decide where the knives go. You still have a lot of knives that you can actually throw.
Yeah, because what's good here is you can throw the 3/2 away. As oh wow, perfect juggles, and he can save the Creeper.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you just trade that and you face him. Oh, he's just going for it.
Well, with the Creeper destroyed, you get 2 more damage to face. So it's not.
That's true, and I suppose he's not really too fearful of AoE from a Zoo deck.
Yeah.
Once the Zoo loses the board, there's no real coming back from it unless you have some sort of godlike Defender of Argus, which we can see is not the case.
And one super secret Shadow Flame. Played by Dog.
That Shadow Flame Tekken Zoo.
Well, there's a Secret Keeper, so it won't do much. Getting some imps here. But
so this is going to be rough. Is there even an out here now for Dog?
I don't. Well, he does play some, but he will need it. So I mentioned that the Styrian was light years away, but apparently Kolento is Han Solo, and he made it a bit faster. He's going to play it next turn.
Yeah. Okay. So does he survive here? I mean, I think he survives it 1, 2. Yeah, he survives this turn. But then when Tyrion comes down, is there enough? I don't think he'll have the minions to pop the shield and kill Tyrion and defend against an Ashbringer. So this might actually just spell the end after this Tyrion. I'm surprised Dog's actually still in the game at the moment.
Well, he maybe will just want to see what card he draws, just in case, you know? Faceless Manipulator? Owl? No?
Oh, these crazy tech. I don't want to play you if you play Zoo on Ladder. I don't want to run into you if you're running these crazy cards that are super unexpected.
Well, I don't run them, and apparently Dog didn't as well. So Dog is, unfortunately for him and his fans, eliminated from the tournament. That was Group A with Dog being knocked out. Kolento is still alive, and he will face Xixo in the next round. So Stancifka already advanced to our top 8. Then Kolento versus Xixo, one of them will be eliminated, one of them is going to advance. And guys, you're watching Hearthstone Champions League. We have a $10,000 prize pool. We have 4 days of games, and then the 5th for the playoffs. Today's Group A, we will close it, we'll finish it. Then tomorrow Group B, and on Thursday and Friday Group C and D. We have a lot of great players every day. Alright, so I think we are ready to go into the breaks. We'll give us some time. We'll prepare the next match, Kolento versus Xixo. And we'll see who is going forward and who is going to get eliminated. Thank you so much for watching so far. Stay tuned for more Hearthstone after the break.
Oh
chose love and not to fear. And now where I stand, there are mountains I will climb. I'm looking up into pure sunlight.
Hi guys and welcome back to Hearthstone Champions League. My name is Nimsh and I'm here with Raven. This is the last match of the day, last match of Group A. The winner advances to the top 8 playoffs and the loser is eliminated. Kolento versus Xixo.
Yeah, it's pretty big deal this match for these two players. Like you said, the winner does go through and the loser is out. Xixo starting with his Zulok. So we've seen Zulok perform fairly well so far in this group. And Kolento going with a tried and tested midrange druid deck.
So this is a good matchup for the Zoo, I believe, especially with this kind of opening where Xixo can just deal a lot of damage and even coin Defender of Argus next turn if he chooses to, or just go for the Bran and then get double buff with the Defender. So this is unbelievable, right? Actually, this opening.
Yeah, and when you see like the Druid start, obviously you look at the Druid's hand here. So you see Kolento's hand, it's Dr. Boom, Ancient of Law, clearly not great early game, but also when you see the combo and then a lack of removal in the form of, say, swipes or rats, or even a Dinosaur Slash Sprint to challenge from turn 2, it's definitely going to be an uphill struggle against this kind of start, because Druid is known to struggle to deal with multiple minions on the board, especially with like varying health, and with this Defender of Argus coming down, the Shade almost has to run into the Flaming, or one of them to kill it, and already this game's looking rough with this Power Overwhelming in hand.
Yeah, he was missing turn 4, like his alternative for turn 4 was just Savage and kill one of the Flame Imps, because the Defender of Argus shut down the hero power. Now with Pilot the Shredder he at least has something to fight back, but will it be enough? There is 6-8 damage already on board, putting him to 8 with the Power Overwhelming that's even more. So I don't see a good way to actually come back from this. Shredder will have to attack into the Flame Imp, and then the only way is to play the Druid of the Claw. Oh, now with Innervate, maybe, is there something? Do you see something, Raven? Do you see hope?
Well, the issue is, Innervate into Ancient of Law looks okay in terms of healing, but healing only delays the inevitable, and the Druid of the Claw taunt does some work, but as you said, with Power Overwhelming, he can PO and then Defender of Argus. So, you know, there's so much damage that is pretty much unavoidable. He might not be dead this turn, depending on what play Kolento chooses to make. Is Innovate Force of Nature potentially worthwhile?
I think that might be.
It looks bad to just glance at, but it might actually be the only way to clear off these minions, because as we said, there's so much damage represented. It's gonna be hard.
So if you go for Force, you do use Innervate, you have 1 mana floating, and you don't even kill all the minions on board. And that's a problem. If you go for something like Druid of a Claw, you will be able to block some attacks. But Kolento decides to go for Dr. Boom. He is saying you are not having it, and I'm going to try to come back on the back of Dr. Boom, but this is not enough. And Xixo has it, so Xixo is taking this first game.
the little smile as he kills Kolento in the flashy way of killing the Wrath Guard, as damage done to the Wrath Guard does pass straight onto the hero itself. So super quick game, Zoo doing what Zoo does, and again Kolento suffering from maybe getting the not the best initial matchup, because when you start a series it's really hard that like you pretty much just lock in whatever deck, because to a certain extent it doesn't really matter in Conquest especially, but when that deck doesn't line up well against their first pick, you know you're in a rough point from day one, I guess.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, but this time we're going to see a Paladin versus Paladin, and both of the players are playing a secret version.
So this mirror can sometimes be decided by whoever gets the Secret Keeper out first, because it has the double-sided effect of the player with the Secret Keeper can choose to buff it with its any secrets that he has, or it actually just locks your opponent's Secret Keeper and more importantly the secrets out as well, because you'll always be slightly ahead because you get the initiative on the attack first.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, but there is even more to the matchup. Whoever gets Master first is important. Whoever plays Mysterious Challenger first is also very important. So I feel the player who starts the game, the player without the coin, has an advantage overall, because he will be able to play Mysterious Challenger first, unless somebody has an opening like Xixo where you can play that Secret Keeper on empty board and then still you have the coin to use later.
Coining into Coghammer is really nice. Mini-bot's normally one of the cards that causes an issue for the Secret Keeper opening, but you can just clear it off, and the Secret Keeper's still a 1-2, and Paladin doesn't normally have anything that can just kill a minion, you know, straight out of hand. And we see Muster's going to be played now, but only be able to ping it for 1. So although Xixo doesn't really have a good turn 3, the threat's still there in Kolento's mind, that if he has like 2 secrets now, suddenly he's in some trouble.
Yeah. The missing the turn 3, I mean, just playing Juggler into it might not work here. He might actually opt out to play a dude, but this is something you don't want to see on turn 3, and Kolento will be the first one to play Mysterious Challenger, where the next turn he can actually clear the board and play Shredder, which was not contested by the weapon.
Yeah, this is really nice now, because Kolento, as you said, going first in this match is actually really important, because the Shredder being down first means, as we said, like the Shredder from Xixo and the True Silver Champion, all these 4-drops in hand, and none of them really do much versus the other Shredder, and Kolento's in a really good spot now.
This is an interesting situation change, because of the fact that he got the secret, he was able to change the game plan and play 2 small minions trying to block the secrets from Xixo, because those minions were still not contested, and this actually created even more power on board than just the Pilot Shredder, because he got that secret.
Yeah, that competitive spirit going up, and wow, Shredder into Avenge. This is insane, because the way Mysterious Challenger becomes even more powerful is when you don't play it on its own on the board. When you play it with other minions, the Avenge can go on other targets to spread the power across the board, which is what you want to do. And at this point for Xixo, he does have Sludge Belcher, but look at this board. Is Sludge Belcher even going to be enough when Kolento follows up with the Challenger?
Yeah, he still cannot kill anything at the moment, so Kolento, as you mentioned, he has the minions, and with Mysterious Challenger, he's almost sealing the game. Tyrion, again, light years away. There is the Keeper, well played from Xixo already. So
yeah, and just a small note as well. The reason Kolento didn't play the Avenge on that last turn was because Challenger pulls the other Avenge out of the deck, and Xixo didn't have anything from hand to actually kill any of the minions that were on the board anyway, so the Avenge wouldn't have worked that turn. So nice, you know, like small things from Kolento that, you know, really make a big impact on the game.
this is incredible, Raven. I wasn't expecting day like this. So Group A, we had a lot of players who tend to play control, so I was thinking we are going to cast some think tank matches where they have intricate plays with Renologs, and this is Slugfest from the very beginning. They play Face Hunter, Face Shaman, Zul. Like, I feel like everybody plays Zul. Secret Paladins.
Are you trying to say that these decks don't have intricate plays, Nimch, and that decks like Secret Paladin play themselves? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they are maybe a bit more straightforward in a way, you know, more honest sometimes.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of smoke from these guys, though, which, you know, but what's interesting is, although a lot of people don't like highly aggressive decks, when you start coming up against matches where it's aggressive versus aggressive decks, they're actually really intricate in terms of when to trade, when to, you know, go face and put pressure on in that way. So small plays do actually make a big impact. And going into this match, though, it's going to be Xixo's Secret Paladin again versus Kolento's Malygos Lock with it. He's probably feeling a little bit rough about it, considering he got 0-3 with it last time.
Yeah, versus Stancifka. But what do you think about the matchups specifically? So Malygos Warlock, he brought it for a reason. And this deck should be okay versus Paladin if you are able to grab the early game control. I'm looking at his hand. So he has Hellfire versus the Master for Battle and a lot of minions. He has Big Game Hunter versus Mistress Challenger on 6, where you can just proc Avenge in a way to get Mistress Challenger above 6 attack. He has actually double Big Game Hunter in this deck, even. Wow.
Yeah, the Malygos Warlock normally plays double BGH because it has things like Abusive as well, and what you want to do is just slow the board down, and Abusive can be comboed a lot of the time to, on a, say, a 5 attack minion to put it in BGH range, but in terms of the matchup in general, it sort of plays like the Reno Lock versus Secret Paladin matchup, where as long as the Warlock can keep the board as clear as possible, then they have a pretty good chance, because the Secret Paladin normally runs out of juice, and as you said quite rightly, if Kolento can proc the Avenge onto the Mysterious Challenger, then just Big Game Hunter it, that's a huge tempo loss for Xixo.
Yeah, they do normally run out of juice, but looking at his hand, Xixo already has had a curve, and now he has Shredder into, or like Belcher into Mysterious Challenger, into Shredder and Master for Battle.
Yeah, and again we see Kolento actually just like lacking dragons in hand. I bet he's going to draw one now because I've said that. Yeah, of course he is. But he's, you know, we've seen a few other games where like just not having the dragons makes the cards so much worse. But getting a Twilight Drake down is pretty nice, and just a corruption on the Belcher, because this is pretty good because the Belcher can't actually like kill itself anyway. So the Belcher is going to die regardless next turn.
Yeah, so
it's a full treat.
Is it a good situation though, because he will still try to get that Avenge on Mistress Challenger. So Belcher, if it doesn't matter where it attacks, if it dies, there will still be a 1/2 token, and there will be a 2/1 from Noble Sacrifice. So Avenge can actually land on the Belcher on the 1/2.
Yeah, and this is a nice play from Xixo as well, where okay, there's some secrets going off, guys, but that's interesting that it actually dies on the end of the turn. So Redemption's brought the Belcher back.
Oh wow, that's perfect.
Corruption feels bad because Corruption kills the minion on the Warlock's turn, so all the secrets go off. So that's insane. I actually didn't. I wonder what was happening for just a second there, and then realized how Corruption worked.
Yeah, exactly, right? That was the most confusing situation in some time. But a funny interaction, and something that you really have to remember when you're facing, I guess, Paladin with your corruption, and I think we might see it more and more, especially with the Dark Peddler being played in almost any deck.
Yeah, it's cards like Dark Peddler are really fun because it brings cards you wouldn't normally bring into the deck into the match themselves. So it's really good, and Kolento has actually done really well with this board. He managed to get the BGH off, the Avenge hit the target he wanted it to. He had the coil for the first half of the new Belcher again, so not too terrible. And the Repentance going on to the Big Game Hunter, not horrible either, only losing 1 health.
So suddenly Kolento might have a chance to come back. He is dropping really low with the damage with the Hellfire, but he has one anti-heal bot.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to actually rely on what comes out of the Shredder, whether it's a high-value minion or not. 2/3, not terrible, and he does have Noble Sacrifice Avenge in hand, so he can still push for damage, or just Blessing of Kings as well. Definitely not terrible, putting the Warlock to 2, so he cannot tap without healing first, or he will die.
Yeah, now also Kolento will need to deal with that 6/7. He has the Soulfire, but 2 secrets are up, so how can Kolento survive? Can he survive?
He's randomly playing Reno with multiples and draws it and plays it. Yeah, this is definitely rough. As now, although Anti-Killbot doesn't actually even keep him alive at this point, right?
Well, you do.
He has to not attack, I guess. If he doesn't
What are the
attack.
secrets though?
It's
Avenge.
get down and avenge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like the most terrible combination probably.
I guess he has to Blackwing. Oh God. No, I
he's
don't
still
think he can.
dead.
I was looking at Blackwing Corrupt to Soulfire on the 6/7, but then he has the issue of being on 2 health, which is quite the problem, I've been told.
And Avenge still works.
Yeah, what is the... Does he have to attack in, heal bot, hope the Avenge goes on the 1/1 and Soulfire the 1/1? Is that the only way to, like...
Attack into
consistently
6/7,
kill that?
avenge the 1/1. No way. He will not be able to kill the 6/7 then.
Yeah, but he'll heal bot, right? So
Oh,
if he
yeah,
attacks in now, he procs the secret. Oh, okay, he's chosen not to attack. Okay, so he's gone for the slight safer route. But if he attacked in, the Noble Sacrifice dies and the Avenge goes potentially on the 1/1 and then Soulfire it.
Oh man, this is tough. But Xixo has to... If Xixo go face, that might give Kolento a chance to finish with damage. But Xixo knows better.
Yeah, this is the safer play because you stop the 2/1 from proccing the Noble Sacrifice and you have plenty of power on board. Something ludicrous would have to happen for Kolento to be able to wipe this board and still live next turn.
Can Kolento survive and win the game with Maliga Soulfire next turn? No, probably not.
I'm going to give a pretty firm no on this one, Nimsh. I'm pretty
agreed.
confident there's no out, unfortunately, for Kolento here.
Is Doomsayer out? Doomsayer is, I believe, an out. If you get the... Like, you can basically even... If you go for the Doomsayer plan or something crazy, you can attack, get Avenge whenever, and still try to play Blackwing, kill the 4/3. If you get a Doomsayer, then the board is wiped, and there's only this one weapon attack. So Doomsayer can still save Kolento. Is there anything else?
I don't think there is. I think he's all in on the Doomsayer coming out of the Shredder, which, let's be honest, happens more often than you think. Or at least it does to me.
Well, that's something you definitely have to consider. If there's no other out, you still have to go for that.
This is the scariest snow chugger I've ever seen. Here we
Go
go.
for the Doomsayer. That's not
And
a
it's
Doomsayer.
some Fury. So that is going to be game. And yeah, pretty convincing win. But again, just Kolento's Malygos lot just failing him at the moment. Must be feeling pretty bad. And that's something that must come into your mind as a player in terms of you brought a deck, you brought your lineup. Kolento's probably put a lot of effort into the lineup, and then one deck just keeps failing you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But on the other hand, what is Xixo last deck? That's the rogue that he failed himself. So now we kind of have this battle of the failed decks. Rogue lost 0-3, Malygos Warlock lost 0-3. Then they had games where they lost with it, they won with it. That's why they are here right now, and Dog is eliminated. But this will be the one most important game in this match. If Xixo is able to find that win with the Rogue, he will advance and eliminate Kolento from the whole tournament.
Yeah, it's a pretty weird matchup as well. Not one you see too often. And I think the Rogue can get out the big burst first, but the Malygos lock has probably more removal because of all the AoE that doesn't require setups from, say, Blade Flurry. And yeah, it's just got that Guardian might actually do a lot of work this game, especially because he's just drawn another dragon to actually proc it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this matchup, I would normally favor Rogue, but then it really depends on the hands. So if Warlock is able to set up a board with big minions like the Drakes and follow up with Azure Drake and Twilight Guardian, Rogue will need something to deal with those minions. If there is a sap or if there is SI7 with some damage, then maybe. But Xixo first, he didn't get a coin, so now he is forced to play Vanilla Violet Teacher again in this tournament. So I would have to favor Kolento for now, at least.
Yeah, and looking at Kolento's hand though, nothing feels too fantastic because you want to kill that Violet Teacher, but it'll cost you a Dark Bomb unless he wants to overkill and play the Gang Boss and then Soulfire. But if he Dark Bombs, he can't really do anything else other than tap, which maybe isn't the worst case on 28 health on turn 4.
What about just slamming guard and going for face? I mean, you can't expect all the craziness like preparation sap. Well, you probably do not expect preparation sap, because if there will be one, it will already happen. So no prep sap. Might be a sap top deck they're expecting, or maybe preparation with eviscerate is possible. But if there is nothing, then you might position yourself pretty well.
Yeah, and I think something to bear in mind as well is it's on Xixo to deal with Kolento's board more than the other way around, because Kolento actually runs double heal bot in this deck. We've seen come out, whereas Xixo, have we seen any heals from Xixo since he's played his rogue?
No, we've only seen the Sludge Belcher. No Farseer, no heal bots yet.
Yeah, so if there's no heals in Xixo's deck, or at least, maybe one, then Kolento's got the slight advantage of being able to just simply heal up for more. So Xixo really does have to reduce this damage down, because as we said earlier, sometimes Malilot just acts like a beatdown deck because the minions are so big.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And here with 6 mana, Kolento will be able to Azure Drake Soulfire. What does he discard though?
Malygos.
Nope,
No.
that's a Peddler. So that's still pretty good. I mean, Malygos, even if he uses the spells, might get less value, but still, if you've seen one sap already, if you play Malygos on turn 9, what can Rogue do if there is no second sap? Like, dealing that amount of damage is impossible, and then all your spells are empowered. You have still Dark Peddlers, you can get those Soulfires, you have Hellfire even, to just deal the final points of damage if Malygos stays alive.
Yeah. What do you think about Xixo? Yeah, I was going to say, I was surprised Xixo's waiting that long, because it feels like the second spell power backstab's really powerful here to get the Azure Drake off the board. Obviously, the frustration is it leaves the 4/3 alive, which kills his Azure Drake straight up.
Yeah, but still not a bad deal. I mean, next turn he will be able to sprint with preparation and play SI7, or maybe he will get a Pillager even.
Yeah, that could be really nice, actually. Having prep sprint always feels good, especially in these controlling matchups where card advantage actually makes a huge impact on the game.
There is a Torison, so Malygos will be able to come down on turn, well, I guess still 9, but with Moral Coil, for example, for free.
The best 0 mana removal ever.
Yeah.
So there's the sprint. There's Dr. Boom. That he did get the Tomb Pillager. Oh, and the Abyss, though. Do you favour just the Abyss to remove the minion off? You are getting a little bit low.
Yeah, I think you might.
Oh, this is nice, actually.
Yeah, but you definitely remove the minion. The extra spell damage, you don't want to get lower than, let's say, 12. Do not enable some crazy Dark Bomb into Hellfire, into Soulfire combos, or double Hellfire things. Hellfire, though, here, you can go for it, I guess. So that's an option. Hellfire into Imp Gang Boss. What else is there? So you can still tap and play Torison.
Yeah, I think what Kolento's relying on is the fact that he's still fairly healthy on 21, and that poison and 1 charge of the dagger's been used. So if the dagger hadn't been used, he's had 2 charges left, maybe you're a little bit more scared of something like the second prep oil onto Flurry or something for a lot of damage, but with just the 1 durability, you should be feeling pretty okay, and getting that much value from Emperor always feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also he needed to do it because he needed that value specifically after Sprint. If you would just go for a board wipe with a free on the board, it wouldn't do much. And a smart Edwin from Xixo, avoiding those big game hunters.
Look at this turn, though. Do you want to Hellfire Twilight Guardian? That seems pretty good, right? Unless I'm missing something.
No, it is decent.
He's going for the coil instead.
Okay. You can go for Blackwing Corruptor, yeah.
Yeah, again, I think because of the durability on the weapon, this is fine, because Xixo can't really do a lot of damage because with no minions on the board, of course, because he needs to oil up to do any sort of big burst, but then he can't attack and flurry. So the second sprint does come in, draws some pretty good cards, but are they going to be good enough this late in the game?
Yeah, it's a bit awkward because at the moment, if you want to play, like, you cannot kill Blackwing Corruptor in a clean way and also develop a minion. So now you're throwing away the Belcher, more or less.
Are we going to see Malygos coil?
I'm just trying to spot lethals if there is any possibility, but not really. The one tool token will stop any lethal here. So Malygos coil would not be bad, but you don't have to do it. Oh, there is a dark bomb.
Yeah, I think the safe play is pretty okay now. I think safe play is better overall instead of doing anything too crazy with Malygos coil. You have so many options. You can put up, as we can see now, the Twilight Guardian to heal bot, still kill off the threatening part of the Belcher, and then you've just got to start to think, like, what is the rogue actually going to do to be able to get back into this game? When you're sitting on Malygos, Dart Bomb, Coil, BGH, even a Hellfire, you know, you have so many potential answers to anything the rogue can do.
Well, Xixo has a really nice clear here with, like, if you Thalnos, you will deal 4 damage, but even Thalnos, like, you can flurry this board, then you need to deal 3 more to the 3/6. You can play Dr. Boom, and then you have 2 mana. Is that 2 mana enough to just eviscerate? Yeah, so he can clear this board and have Dr. Boom. Keep the 1/2.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. What's he going for? So the Blade Flurry is happening. The Thanos did come down. And he's opting... Oh, okay. So he looks like he's going to play Eviscerate Coin Lotheb instead to buy him a turn effectively for anything too crazy happening. Or not. And I'm wrong again. That's really interesting. Like, maybe he's just thinking I need the Evis to win the game, right?
Yeah, as a reach card because of the possible heal bot. We've seen one heal bot though. So this is not over yet, even with Malygos, but so Dark One will be 8 damage. So do you just clear minions anyway? I mean, versus Rogue, you mostly won't like to clear the minions because of possible oil, and by this point Xixo did cast Sprint twice. So I would expect oils, I would expect Flurry. So you don't want to have those minions. The only minion that can charge in a Rogue's deck, which is sometimes in, sometimes out, is a deckhand. We don't know if Xixo... We haven't seen it being played by Xixo. So if you kill all the minions, you will know that Rogue... Well, you hope the Rogue will not kill you, and you will have time to maybe play your minions and try to set up a board.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if this... How much damage does Xixo actually have regardless? He can... So what does he get? He's with the oil, some 4.
6,
he
4,
can hit to
7,
8.
11.
Because he can hit Flurry and Evis. So he's not quite there yet. And with, as you said, the focus on removal from Kolento's key. If you leave that minion on the board, then things get scary. Does that change anything? I mean, I guess he oils now because he has to clear, right?
Yeah. With Tinker and...
Oh. This is lethal.
Yeah,
so
this
goes up to 6. Yeah,
actually, that was the +4 damage he needed. Wow. Okay,
yeah,
so
that's crazy.
that was really fast, and he got it super fast as well. So Xixo is going to take the match and eliminate Kolento. Kolento never had a chance to use that Malygos, but maybe if he would play it a bit earlier, we don't know. He doesn't know, and he is eliminated for now. So Xixo advances with Stancifka to the playoffs on the last day. But that's just the beginning, guys. That's just the beginning. This is Hearthstone Champions League. We finished Group A, and we'll have Group B for you tomorrow at the same time. Raven, any summary from your side?
Yeah, just I mean, again, like any 2 of these 4 players in this group could have gone through quite easily, and really good sets overall. You see how close a lot of the games were, even though the scores may not have represented it on every set. The actual games were, you know, really quite intricate. And I'm just looking forward to tomorrow as well. In Group B, we have Ecop, RDU, Pavel, and Hoy. So that's really going to be a good set to cast. A lot of good characters in that group as well. So definitely looking forward to seeing what those guys can bring to the table.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for casting with me today, and thank you guys for watching. Tune up tomorrow for more Hearthstone action. It's 5 p.m. European time, I believe. I don't know what time US time is that. Raven, do you remember?
No.
Last 9 hours?
No idea. It depends where you are in the US.
Alright. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you tomorrow. Have a good evening.